probably should add us to the show, Bad Dog. But
Probably should. Yeah, listen, we had a week off. We don't know what the hell we're doing.
we're still getting used to everything again. But excited to be back on with Bad Dog. We took our bye week much like the New York Giants did because, well, quite frankly, Bad Dog, there's not a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah.
We were talking about before the show went live. You know, we're kind of winding down the season, but hey, we're coming off of 2 straight wins. We're coming off a bye week. We haven't lost a football game in 3 weeks, and we're going up against the Red Hot Packers. So I'm excited to see how it plays out on Monday night.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat, do me a favor. Stand up! New York Giants fans. What's going on, Tim, Jim? What's going on, Ryan D? What's going on, Ethan? What's going on, Anthony Raza? Surge in the chat. Ryan D in the chat. But Bad Dog, how's the bye week been for you?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. It was nice to get away from it for a little bit. You talk about the Red Hot Packers. The Packers are going against the Red Hot Giants. Who we kidding? 2 in a row. Ain't lost a game in 3 weeks. Feels good. Definitely looking forward to the game on Monday. You know, it is funny. I mean, pretty much our season's done. I get that. I'm not expecting miracles here. They're 2 games out of the wild card, but the ironic thing is, and I put this on Twitter, literally 2 yards away from being 6-6. Not that we were going to do anything in the postseason, but literally a yard against Buffalo, a yard against the Jets. We're 6-6. It's insane. And we would have been right in the wild card race. It would have been interesting to see how the fan base reacted because obviously getting off to a bad start, not everybody, but a lot of people wanted a tank. If we were 6-6 at this point, it'd be interesting to see which direction the fan base went. So,
well, 6-6, I don't think you could be talking tank, right?
I mean, not tank, but they'd be like, "Oh, this freaking sucks. We're going to be mediocre," and I get it. I mean, listen, this team has been rough for the last 10 years, right? So, but you know, it is what it is. I'm just glad that we win at football games. I like the story of Tommy DeVito. I like that Wink Martindale kind of put this crap to rest. I don't know where these reports are coming from that all these guys are going to get fired. And then there's stuff out there about Dable. Buffalo should contact Dable to get rid of McDermott. I'm like, stop. Yeah, and you know, Wink said, you know, if we're 8-4, we're not talking about this, but because we're 4-8, that's what happens. And he's absolutely right.
Yeah, I saw that today on Twitter, or maybe it was 2 days ago that Wink Martindale basically came out, said he'd love to be back with the New York Giants. That's going to continue to be a topic of conversation. Who knows? There's probably some legitimacy to it. I think it was probably a little bit overblown by Glazer, but we'll see at year's end. I won't be shocked either way. Like we've said for the last couple of weeks, when your team's bad, you expect changes to happen. So we'll see at the end of the year. I thought it was funny, all the, you know, the chatter that I saw on Twitter getting into like an argument of whether or not the Giants are tanking, the fact that they're starting DeVito over Tyrod Taylor, is now back and healthy. But the way I look at it, as far as the quarterback position goes, if I was Dable, I would start DeVito too. And that's not to say that I think DeVito's better than Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor obviously is a more accomplished quarterback. He's had some success from within the league. He looked pretty good this year when he was able to stay on the football field. But if you're the Giants, you just won 2 straight. I understand the teams we were going up against, but you just won 2 straight. DeVito's looked at least competent doing it. The team's starting to build a little bit of, I guess, mojo. And you know Taylor's not going to be here next year. You don't know that about DeVito. So if I'm Dable, yeah, I roll DeVito out there until he completely embarrasses himself, and I feel like I'm forced to make a quarterback change. But I didn't even understand how that was like a huge debate this week. Everybody was saying, oh, the Giants are tanking now because they're starting DeVito. The Giants aren't tanking. They're trying to win football games.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, you know, out of everything you said, the biggest, Tyrod Taylor is definitely more accomplished. There's no question about this. People can think Tyrod Taylor gives us a better chance to win, and maybe he does, right? But like you said, Tyrod Taylor's not here next year. You know, they just gave DeVito 3 years, $2.7 million or whatever it was. Or maybe they gave him that before he even got to the team. I don't know. That's his contract.
I think when they called, I think it was before. I think when they called him up, he got some kind of commitment.
So listen, you might as well see if he can be a competent backup. You want to see if he can play in the league. He has to improve. Like people already on his, he takes too many sacks. He's played 3 games. He's an undrafted free agent. Can we give him a chance? The one thing I like about DeVito is the reason he takes sacks is because he looks down the field. He don't want to dump the ball off. He's looking to take shots. Now, with experience, you'll learn how to read defenses. You'll learn how to feel pressure. You'll say, hey, I got to get rid of the ball here. I got to at least get rid of the ball. I can't take a tack in this situation. It comes with experience. So I don't understand the people killing him about that or bringing up his QBR, which is an ESPN made up stat. His quarterback rating is in the 90s, but his QBR is 14. I don't even know. I don't know how they get a quarterback rating, and I don't understand how they get the QBR. The formulas that don't make any sense to me. I don't think they make any sense to anybody except for the people that make up those statistics. So I don't know. Listen, man, 1-2 games. He threw 3 touchdowns against Washington. Bill Belichick's defense is usually pretty good against rookies. They beat the Steelers last night, right? So people would say the Patriots came out won. They won a game last night against a team that's over 500, against a team that's fighting for a playoff spot. So it ain't like the Steelers went in there looking to tank.
What's going on with the Steelers, man? We've been praising them the last.
We have no idea. You don't know what the hell the Steelers are.
Back-to-back weeks, they lose to the Cardinals and the Patriots. What the hell is going on with them?
Remember the one year they started like 11-0, Chris, and they lost like every game after that and got blown out.
That was like 2 or 3 years ago.
It wasn't long ago.
Yeah, I do remember that. But yeah, they're just a completely unpredictable team. Other than, every year they're going to finish at least a game over 500. Yeah. Nelson says we need to end the Packers' undefeated streak in December since 2019. Won't be easy. We'll talk about that game tonight.
Jordan Love's playing really well.
Yeah, and Christian Watson, I think, is still dinged up. He may not play, which would definitely help the Giants in this battle. I think it's going to be a close game. Maybe a lot of people disagree with that. I think it's going to be a close game because I think this team is starting to build a little bit of belief in themselves. And I think they've clearly shown that they're not quitting on the season. They had an extra week to prepare for this game. I really think this is going to be a competitive game. I'm not picking us to win. I do think Green Bay is hitting on all cylinders, and they're starting to look good. And Jordan Love, I hate to say it. Not hate to say it. I have nothing against the guy. But Jordan Love, to me, looks like he's the real deal. And I think a lot of people kind of wrote him off midway through the season. I watched the Packer game on primetime last week. This dude looks legit.
Hey, Chris, we talked about trading for Jordan Love a couple of years ago. We said, what are the Packers going to do with it? Maybe it's something. This is before Dable got here. And we were talking about, because we didn't think Daniel Jones was going to be around this year. We thought that last year probably was. So they said, what about looking at a guy like Jordan Love? We also didn't know Aaron Rodgers was going to the Jets. Like, this is before all that happened. Yeah, man, he looks good. The Packers look good. They're, like you said, they're hitting on all cylinders. It won't be easy. The one thing I can say is our defense has been playing really well. And again, you can look at the teams that they played against, but they forced 6 turnovers against Washington. The Patriots, they suck. I'm not going to go too much into that. But the Giants have forced, I think, 11 turnovers the last 3 games. So the defense has definitely been playing better. And I don't think the Packers are going to score a ton of points. It's just, can we score? It is the big thing. Because, Tommy DeVito likes to throw the ball deep, but it's not like our offense has been consistent. We're going to have to run the football. That's going to happen. But the one thing I love about DeVito is he's getting Jalen Hyatt involved, Kristen. I love Jalen Hyatt. So I love to see that too.
And listen, what you and me are rooting for DeVito just as much as anybody else. I love the story, hometown kid. He's played really well. But the reason why we've really won the last 2 weeks, as good as he's definitely exceeded, I think, most people's expectations with DeVito. Yeah. But you hit it on the head. The reason why the Giants have been winning the last 2 weeks is the defense. They created 9 turnovers in the last 2 games. Yeah. That's unsustainable. So if the Giants plan to have a couple of upsets down the stretch, this offense is going to need to start playing better. And the good news is we are starting to hit some big plays. We got to see a little bit more consistency from that offense. I do think you're going to get a good effort this week. I thought we were going to beat Washington when everybody said we weren't. I think most people thought we stood a good chance against New England. Most people were writing us off going into this game. I'm probably going to lean towards the Packers, but I do see this kind of being maybe a game where Green Bay overlooks the Giants a little bit. And the fact they had more time to prepare, I think this is going to be a competitive game. I think this game's going to be within 3 or 4 points. I think this game will go down to the wire. I really do. Yeah,
I can see it being a 24-20 game somewhere in that area. Now, I don't see your dad in the chat, but just in case he pops, I just want to say, Papa Guzzo, not shaven and no haircut. Tomorrow night is date night for me and the wife. I'm going out with the other. So couples night tomorrow. So I have to wait till tomorrow to shave, cut my hair. I look presentable. The missus is taking me out of the town or vice versa. She's going to be seen with me. I have to look halfway decent. When I'm at home, who really gives a flying fig? But that's why I'm not shaving, Papa Guzzo. Cheers to you, of course.
And Wilson says we need to end the Packers' undefeated streak. Oh, I just read that. Yeah, listen, I would love to end the undefeated streak. I We'll see. I just want to have a fun game. I want DeVito to continue to give us a reason to be excited. Because right now there's not a whole lot to be excited about. But the young defense has been good. There's definitely some silver linings to this season. But there's a lot that you got to worry about going forward. And of course, we haven't forgotten. We're still, potentially drafting a quarterback next year. There's still a lot of holes.
I still think they are. I think that I still think they're drafting a quarterback, and I think it has more to do with the injury history of Daniel Jones than anything else. I honestly do. I mean, Daniel Jones got off to a bad start this year, and obviously there's reasons for that, but he's a big reason for that too is he didn't play well. But there's been injuries up and down. He played decent last year, but he wasn't fantastic. He was good enough to get the contract with, good enough to win a playoff game. Will he ever be an elite guy? I don't think he will. I always thought he had the capability of being a top 10, top 12 quarterback with his physical skill set. But again, these aren't, minor injuries we're dealing with here. It's torn ACL, it's a couple neck injuries. I don't think you want to hold on to him longer than you have to if you can get out after next year. So you're not going to be able to get out after next year if you don't address the quarterback, unless you really do want, hey, Tommy DeVito, hey, Tommy Cutlets, hey, Tommy, you're going to be a starter at 25. You're going to – listen, I love Tommy DeVito. I'm Italian. So, that, it's near and dear to my heart, okay? I'm an Italian guy from this area, right? So obviously it's a good story for us Italian guy. Hey, but – I'm not going to buy, hey, we're going into the year where Tommy DeVito was a starter if all things being considered equal, right? So that's what I'm saying. You can't hit your star to Daniel Jones because if you miss a quarterback and Daniel Jones gets hurt again, you're probably losing your job.
I make complete agreement with you about Daniel Jones. It's I'm rooting for the guy if he's the starter next year for the New York Giants, but the reality of the situation is I'm with you at this point where I think at some point the guy's going to be replaced. It's just a matter of when, not if. And it's going to depend. It's going to depend on where we're picking in the draft, how they evaluate these quarterbacks. But yeah, I don't see Jones being the long-term starter for this team at this point, and the injuries have as much to do with it as anything else.
The injuries are serious. It's got to be a concern at this point. I think a big reason they didn't give him the fifth-year option. Number one, they didn't really know what he was going to do in their system, and they didn't have any ties to him. They had no allegiance to him, but he's coming off the neck injury where he missed the entire season. They really didn't know what his neck deal was until like August, right? Or July was the summer where they kind of figured, okay, he's good to go. Everything is cleared. And then he had this again. And the way they handled it this year was weird too, right, Chris? They were like, oh, he's not cleared. He's not cleared. He's out there practicing. He's not cleared. He's not cleared. Bang. All of a sudden he's good to go. When Tyrod Taylor got hurt, it was strange. It'll be an interesting offseason, but I do think they're going to address the quarterback. I think you're a GM. I think you want your own quarterback. I think when you're the head coach, you want your own quarterback. I think they did what they could with Daniel Jones. I think they wanted Daniel Jones to succeed or they wouldn't have given him a contract to begin with. I think they felt he could do enough, but I think these injuries are just really starting to catch up to him. And like I said, you can't afford to ride into it and then him getting hurt again and missing 10 games, 12 games, a year, 9, whatever it is. And then again, Tommy DeVito's a nice story, but I don't think you want to be like, yeah, we're going to just ride with Tommy DeVito for, 2/3, 3/4 of the season because they're starting quarterback in Santa Field. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be a Giant. It's my guess.
That's your prediction?
Yeah. Him or Penix. I think it's him or Penix. I don't think Michael Penix is out of the realm of possibility. I know.
We'll see. I definitely think we're going quarterback. I'm not as dead set. I definitely think it's a possibility we'll go quarterback in the first round. 3 weeks ago, I was convinced we were going quarterback in the first round. Now I look at him like, well, we may be picking later. But I do think at some point in this draft, whether it be the first round or day 2, the Giants will be drafting a quarterback. And Shane basically said that in his press conference, more or less. He said that we're either going to have to address the quarterback position in free agency or the draft because, he leaned on the fact that Daniel Jones was hurt. But the reality of the situation is you're paying Daniel Jones a boatload of money. I don't think you're going to spend premium bucks or at least high-end bucks for a backup quarterback this year. I'd be surprised if you did. So I'm leaning at some point we are going to be drafting a quarterback. I just don't know when yet. Like if we're picking 9th, I don't know. It depends. There's a lot of variables that go into it, but I think at some point they will be drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, they may look to trade up. Yeah. And again, we the other thing is, there's a lot that goes on before the draft. We can speculate. Number one, we don't know where the hell we're picking. We don't know who's picking ahead of us either. So it might be a couple teams that don't need a quarterback, and the Giants may be able to move up with them. Maybe the guy that they want falls, or maybe a guy in the combine doesn't play very well and his stock drops, and you don't know what the hell we do in free agency. So all of this ties into what the Giants do. I have no doubt they have their eyes on certain players, but can they obtain those players, or will those players be as hot as they were going into the draft? Because you talked about it was a great example last year, Chris. A lot of people had Jaden Daniels going second round, myself included. Just like Anthony Richardson, everybody was like, hey, he's probably a second round guy. He's a raw guy. He's got to be developed, good skill set, but he's got to be developed. He's raw. He went fourth overall. So that could definitely be that Jaden Daniels is probably going to win the Heisman. And that obviously rises your stock. Then if he kills it, the combine will rise even more.
Jaden Daniels, if he has a good combine, which there's no reason to think he won't. Everything you read says that they think he's going to break the record that Anthony Richardson set last year at the combine for the 40 mark for a quarterback. So if he has a strong combine, there's no doubt in my mind that Jaden Daniels is going top.
I would like Jaden Daniels. I think that Dable could really develop Jaden Daniels. I think that would be a good combination.
Yeah.
They're not going to get Caleb Williams. They're not going to get Drake May. They're going to be off the board. We're not going top 3. I can't imagine. With the Patriots winning, it kind of.
Well, the Patriots won. Arizona won. They now have 3 wins. So you got to let the season play out. But
we have the Eagles twice. That's 2 losses, Giants fans. You know that. So. It is, Chris. I mean, come on. More than
likely, yeah. Last week of the season, we'll see if the Eagles are playing for anything, but they probably will be, especially after they lost to.
If the Cowboys win Sunday, they definitely will be.
I think the Cowboys are going to win. By the way,
I do too.
I think the Cowboys are going to win. I do. I think I saw this stat yesterday. I actually missed the answer to it. I think it was on. I forgot what it was. Maybe it was on ESPN. Whatever it was, I had it on in the background. Eli Manning, I think, is the only quarterback in the history of Dak Prescott's career to beat him twice in the same season.
That's very possible.
Yeah, I think
because Dak has been hurt
I didn't
a lot.
wait for the answer, but they asked who's the only quarterback to beat Dak Prescott twice in a regular season. I'm like in my head, I'm like, well, Eli did it his rookie year. Yeah. So I think Eli Manning's the only quarterback ever to beat Dak twice in a single regular season.
That's because think about it, the Cowboys haven't lost much. He has a great record against the NFC East. He's like 24-8 or 28-5, whatever it is, and he's been hurt a couple of times, so he hasn't played the same quarterback twice in 1 year either. A lot. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously they beat the Eagles last year. They split, but Gardner Minshew was the quarterback that week anyway. So even if they won, it wouldn't have been Jalen Hurts beating them twice. And the only reason that's Eli is because Tommy DeVito ain't played him yet. Tommy, sweet that.
But we'll see how it plays out. As Baddog always says, we're going to pay the bills real fast. Thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you guys for all the support. Obviously, not a lot to talk about. We don't expect a big crowd, but we love all our faithful subscribers that always come in no matter what. Haven't done much content the last couple of weeks because we've been on bye, and we're kind of waiting for the offseason to get underway to really start to ramp up.
The most exciting thing that happened is the Yankees got Juan Soto. There you go.
That was huge news for you guys. Congratulations to the Yankees fans. And now we're going to be in a bidding war, it looks like, for Yamamoto. As a Mets fan, I've been begging them to get him now for over a month, but looks like the Yankees are coming to join the party, so that could become a bidding war.
I mean, what would a party be without the Yankees in there? Come on. Mets fans are, so I don't really deal with Mets fans. I mean, I don't dislike the Mets at all. I root for the Mets when the Yankees aren't there, but it's just funny. I post things about Juan Soto, and I'm posting him as a Yankee fan and 2 Yankee fans. And Mets fans go, oh, it's a 1-year rental. It's a 1-year rental. Oh, yeah, he'll be a Met. I'm like, why are you all over my feed? The Yankees ain't a small market organization. I'm sorry. I understand you guys got money, but we're the Yankees. They're not going to go, oh, that's okay. If the Mets would offer the guy $600 million.
Listen, at the end of the day, the Yankees wouldn't have made that trade. I mean, anything could happen in a regular season. Who knows? Maybe Soto gets hurt. Maybe Soto underperforms, whatever. But the Yankees wouldn't have made that trade if they didn't know damn well that they were going to throw whatever they had to throw it to keep.
And they work well with Scott Boras. They have for years. The reason I'm extremely excited about number one, he's a 25-year-old lefty, power bat. Then we got Alex Verdugo from the Sox. We got another lefty. Oh, my God, we got some left. Hey, Cashman, you listen for once. Chris, we should be doing a Yankee or baseball show. But I love that Aaron Judge has protection. You can't pitch around Aaron Judge.
That's the exact point I was going to bring up. Aaron Judge has had nobody backing him up for the last 3 years or whatever it's been for the Yankees. Now he's got like a legitimate I mean, he had Stanton, but Stanton was always hurt. Now he has a legitimate guy behind him. Like, you can't pitch around Judge anymore.
Pitch
So
around him.
he's going to have a mega year. But we're going to pay the bills real fast. Thank you to everybody for being here. Just want to give a quick shout out to the official sponsor of the channel. Promo code's right there. Underdog Fantasy promo code is ETS. They match the first 100 up to the first 100 that you deposit. Underdog Fantasy. It's an easy to use site. I'm going to place a bet right now, Baddog. We're going to put $20 on the Giants game again. Let's see how we do this week. I haven't hit yet, but I always do these extravagant 10-1 bets. This week we're going Tommy DeVito higher on the 169.5 passing yards.
Nice.
It was low. I mean, only 27.5 receiving yards.
Wow, that's going to be a one reception.
I'm going higher there. And then Jordan Love, he's been hot. So I'm going to go over on the 223.5. And of course, when it comes to the Giants, you're always picking the over on the kicker. So we're going to go over 5 picking points for Randy Bullock. So we'll see how that pays out this week. 20 to win 200. But it's easy to use. Promo code ETS. Check it out, guys. Thank you guys for all the support that you guys always show on both of our channels. Appreciate all you guys. Check it out. Underdog Fantasy promo code ETS. What's up, John, man? Thanks for popping in. Why can't we sign Ohtani? Ohtani looks like he's going to the Dodgers from what I've heard, Jabbar, or at least
Blue Jays.
Or the Blue
Jays.
Oh, now it's the Blue Jays? So
the Blue Jays are the favorites to land. I wonder if they did already because there was talk that they said everything's linked that he's going to the Blue Jays. Let's see if we have any Shohei Ohtani news.
And Chris, man, thank you very much, man. He says, with Simmons improving each week, do you think Wink would utilize a 3-linebacker cheetah package? I think I could see that. I mean, I think it depends on the opponent you're going up against, but there's certain teams where they may possess, probably not this week, but I think there's certain teams where something like that could be more valuable for you to have 3 linebackers on the field, a little bit more speed. I don't know about this week. I could see it maybe against the Eagles, perhaps. I could see them trying to utilize him a bit more against that team, but especially with a guy like Jalen Hurts, you want to spy him because his ability to run as a quarterback. So I could certainly see Simmons in having more linebackers, like a sub package, like you're referring to, against a team like that, a mobile quarterback. It was good to see. Another thing that I found hysterical on Twitter, Baddog. And again, I'm not that
everything.
Yeah, everything. I wasn't on there in real time. I saw it the day after. What is with Giants fans defending the Philadelphia Eagles? I don't get it. Like, Giants fans, they are our ultimate rival. And Giants fans go on Twitter, and they're having fun. They're celebrating that the 49ers destroyed the Philadelphia Eagles, just like I would expect an Eagles fan to do if the Giants were good and the 49ers destroyed us. And then you get all these Giants fans on Twitter. Oh, yo, we're embarrassing. Oh, we're embarrassing. Shut up.
Yeah. They're like, I wouldn't say anything if I was you. I was like, listen, we could not win a game. We could be winless and lose to the Eagles for the next 10 seasons. I'm talking shit about Philadelphia. It's the NFC East. I'm doing it to the Cowboys. I don't care. That ain't going to stop. I was glad the 49ers won. Hell, even my son comes up there and goes, ha, Eagles losing. Ha. My kid's 6. He knows the score. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I put on there, and this is a fact. The San Francisco 49ers, they're our best friend this year. The Niners are our best friend. We want them to knock out the Cowboys and the Eagles. I don't give a damn if the Niners win a Super Bowl. Not the Giants' rivals anywhere. Now, in the 80s, different story. Right now, they're my best friend. They're my best friend.
And I'll tell you
Chris, we competed better with the 49ers than the Eagles or Cowboys did.
That's also true. Style points don't count in the NFL, but
no, they don't.
But yeah, no, I think the 49ers, and of course you have to have the personnel to do it. We certainly don't. But I think the 49ers exposed the Eagles a little bit on offense.
That's what Nick Bosa was saying.
Because what the 49ers did in that game, if you watched, they didn't get a ton of pressure on Hurts. They only sent 3 or 4 guys every time, but they dropped back in coverage. They spied Hurts, and they forced Hurts to have to make tight throws, and he wasn't comfortable doing it. I think they exposed them a little bit. They didn't overcommit on the edge. They didn't allow Hurts to beat him with the legs. I could see going up against the Cowboys this week. I think the Cowboys will do something very similar.
The Cowboys can do it because they have the horses to do so. We can't. And that was my point. When I saw that, I'm like, it's good that you have the blueprint, but you still have to have the players to execute that. We don't. Maybe we do. I mean, we have pretty good linebackers. Yeah. Kerrigan and McFadden are good. Kayvon, I mean, the sexy. I mean, we got some our defense is pretty good. I ain't saying we're beating the Eagles. Until the Giants beat the Eagles, I can never pick us to. Although at the beginning of the year, I did say our Christmas miracle was coming, that we were finally going to beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia. And obviously ain't going to happen now. I never say never, I guess. It's very unlikely. If I was in a suicide pool, I'm probably taking the Eagles.
Oh, of course you would be. Yeah. I got knocked out, by the way. I took the Lions on Thanksgiving. Packers ruined that for me. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I had my guy Twitter saying, bet your kids' tuition on the Packers.
Yeah, I shouldn't have, but they were I didn't have the Eagles left, for example. I'd already taken a lot of the good teams. I'm like, I got to pick somebody. And the Lions, of course, crap the bed. Good to see Afghanistan in here. He says there were still quite a few plays where Hurts had tons of time until those hogs retire. No, he had a ton of time in that game. But the 49ers didn't blitz. The coverage in that game was great. And again, I preface that by saying not every team has the 49ers personnel.
Correct.
Most defenses
not many teams.
Yeah.
Not many teams.
Nobody, to be honest with you.
Right.
You look at that 49ers defensive line. That is insane. Nick Bosa.
They both played at Ohio. They played at Ohio State together. It's crazy.
You got Hargrave. You got Kinlaw. Like, that defensive line is the best defensive line in the NFL.
Good. And then you got Fred Warner out there who got touched by some guy on the Eagles sideline, and then Warner stuck his hand in his face, got thrown out of the game. Like, that security guard, whoever the hell that guy was, you don't put your hand on a player.
No.
That guy should have been suspended or not being on a sideline or fined or whatever. You don't touch a football player. You don't do that.
Yeah.
He instigated that. So
I
liked it. That was chippy too. I like it. I liked it. That was chippy.
Did you say Warner? Yeah, it wasn't Warner. It was Greenlaw, right? I think it was.
Greenlaw, sorry.
Yeah, I think it was Greenlaw. It was the other linebacker for the 49ers. But yeah, regardless, the security guy was way out of line.
Way out of line. Without question. You don't put your hand on the guy.
Oxbow says, how much is Pepsi paying you?
Not enough.
I wish they were paying us. They're not paying us a thing. We didn't even get the free.
Not paying us enough. I don't always drink Pepsi either. I usually drink Coca-Cola.
Oh, is that why you said it? You were drinking Pepsi?
I don't know. I have Pepsi here, but it's normally Coke Zero. I just happen to have Pepsi Zero. Sometimes it's Sunkist Zero. Sometimes it's Dr. Pepper Zero. I would like Pepsi to pay me. They got money. You don't even need to pay me. Just pay for my soda.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm more of a Coke guy, though. I think we've had this discussion before. I'm more of a Coke guy.
I as long as it's zero sugar, I'm good. I don't like ginger ale. I don't care for Sprite because Sprite goes flat really quick. But I don't care. I like soda regardless. Anything zero sugar is good to me.
Let's see. Jack says it's crazy how no one is talking about that too. Why was a non-player allowed to put hands on a player?
He shouldn't have ever done that.
Well, he wasn't. He got ejected. So it wasn't like he got away with it. But yeah, he was completely out of line, obviously.
Yeah, but who wins? I mean, the Niners ended up winning, but who wins that? You got some chump on the sideline for the Eagles. You got one of the better linebackers, one of your better defensive players getting thrown out of the game.
Of course. Yeah. They definitely won that. They definitely won that battle. Not that it mattered, but let's see. Everything is better with that's a fact, Nathan. I'm with you on that. What's up, Milkman? Man, thanks for popping in the stream. And let's see, the security guard, the guy is an idiot. Do your job, but when players are fighting, nope, stay out of it. No, listen, he was completely out of line. There's no doubt about it. He was completely out of line. And I was glad. Yeah, Sirianni probably should. If there's one guy in the NFL I can't stand Afghanistan, it's him. Sirianni, Nick Sirianni. He is my least favorite person in the NFL.
It's perfect that he's on the Eagles, isn't it? It's just perfect that he's there.
Yeah,
he's probably right there. I mean, I equate him to Barry Switzer on the '95 Cowboys. He ain't a good coach. That team is stacked. You want to give credit to somebody, you give credit to Howie Roseman. Sirianni. I mean, anybody could coach the Eagles to 10 wins at this point in the season. Come on, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, best line in the league. Really good defensive line. Secondary is their weakness. So the Cowboys, they match up well with Philadelphia.
I really do think the Cowboys are going to beat them this week. I really do. You want to hear something crazy, Bad Dog? You know what the Eagles plus minus is for the year? They're 10-2. They are plus 41.
And the Cowboys are like plus 150 or something.
Because they blow out all these horrible teams, but they're plus 168. The Bills, for example, are 6-6. They're plus 101. But the Eagles are plus 41 and they're 10-2. because they've just found a way to win really close games. They're kind of like us, obviously a much better record, but just in the method in which they're winning games, they're winning like a bunch of really close games this year. Yeah. I don't think the Eagles are as good as their record. I think they will get exposed in the playoffs if they play the 49ers, as you saw last week.
Well, I'll tell you this, too. If Valdez-Scantling doesn't drop a touchdown, Chiefs could win.
They will.
If Gabe Davis turns the right way, game's over.
Yeah.
If Josh Allen put that ball right out to be, Gabe Davis took over the wrong game, was pissed at himself. I mean, that could be 2 more losses. They could be looking at 8-5 just in those 2 games alone. So, yeah, I don't think the Eagles are still a really good team. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I don't think they're as good as they were last year. I think they were a better team last year. And I do think they could get knocked out in the postseason. I think the Cowboys could do the deed to them in the postseason, honestly.
I'm going to tell you what. I think they would have got knocked out last year if Purdy didn't get hurt.
It's possible.
I think the 49ers would have beat them. I really do. I'm going to get to this. Let's talk about the MVP discussion real quick, because this is such like a hot topic of conversation, because this is the one year, Baddog, where it's not like your typical year where there's like a standout quarterback where the guy's putting up 45. Like, there hasn't been gaudy statistics this year from the quarterback position.
No.
I am of the belief, and I think I've seen you say it on Twitter, we've said it for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think Tyreek Hill needs to get heavy consideration for the MVP.
Absolutely.
And you haven't heard it enough, because it's just a quarterback award. It's just like a given. Like, if there was ever a year where you're not going to award it to a quarterback, this would be the year. Tyreek Hill's on pace to have the greatest year ever by a wide receiver in the history of the NFL. And your leading quarterback in terms of statistics right now is Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy, both of whom have an incredible supporting cast, along with Tua Tagovailoa, same thing. So for me, this might sound crazy, because if you look at the odds, it's Purdy right now is 1, who's having a great year. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's having a great year. Dak, I think, is 2, and I think Hurts is 3. My top 3, Tyreek Hill will be my number 1.
Same here.
CJ Stroud would be my number 2.
Yep.
And Brock Purdy would be my number 3. I think if you take Stroud off the Houston Texans,
they're where they were last year.
They're like a 2-win team.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I would define MVP. If you take Purdy off the Niners, I still think they're a very good team. Not quite as good, but I still think they're a very good team.
Yeah, I think that I would definitely give it to Tyreek Hill, because there hasn't been a standout quarterback. Like, nobody's lighting the world on fire, but Tyreek Hill is a major reason the Dolphins win the games that they do, without question. So definitely he'd be up there. I love CJ Stroud, and I agree that the Texans were a team that won 3 games last year, and this guy's out there making Noah Brown and Nico Collins and Tank Dell. I know he got hurt, but Tank Dell, like, who goes into a year going, oh, my receivers are Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Noah Brown. We're going to tear it up. He's making those guys look like superstars. That's a 3-win team that has a chance to make the postseason because of CJ Stroud. Okay, you don't turn it around that quickly unless you have a guy impacting like that, and he has. I think my 3rd one would be Dak. I think I would take him over Brock Purdy most likely, because I do think that Purdy has an overall better supporting cast. I think that, listen, I don't like Dak Prescott at all. I can't stand Dak. I like to make fun of the fact he can't win in the postseason. But I think he's had a much better year. Last year, he led the league in interceptions, and he only played, he missed a few games. He led the league in interception percentage. He wasn't good last year. And this year, I feel like he's really turned it around. And the knock on Dak is they don't beat good teams. Yeah. Dak has a chance to, if Dak really wants to cement himself as an MVP candidate or favorite, you'll go a long way in doing so if you have a good game against the Eagles on Sunday night.
Yeah, I think that's that in terms of his MVP candidacy, I think he takes the lead if he has a big game against the Eagles. I agree with that on primetime. I think right now Purdy took the slightly because he had the big game against the Eagles.
Right.
Yeah. Devon says Eagles head coach is trash talking fans from halfway inside the tunnel. Just does something to my soul. Listen, Devon, you get away with that when your team's winning, when your team's doing really good. But what I'm going to say is this, Baddog, when the Eagles inevitably fall off, and I don't know when that's going to be, might be in 3 years, might be in 4 years, might be next year. I have no idea.
The sooner the better.
People are going to remember that, and he's not going to last. He's not. You don't last in the NFL when you have an ego like that. You look at all the great coaches in the history of the league: Belichick, Tomlin. They do their job. They go out there. They do their job. This isn't college football. So when things go south for the Philadelphia Eagles, he's going to lose his job real fast. I promise you that. When you're
Yeah,
winning, it's easy. It's easy to be a cheerleader and be like that.
of course.
But they will turn on him fast
Oh
when
my
the Eagles.
God. That fan base, especially. I mean, they were booing at halftime.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were down. Oh, I gotta hold on one second. I'll be right back.
Yeah. I'll talk to the chat real quick. I agree with you, Raymond Sosa. I said that a few weeks ago, and I by no means do I think he's like this incredibly gifted, talented quarterback. But I think Purdy is better than people give him credit for. I agree with that. I think he's really good in terms of processing. And listen, you got to give the guy some credit. I understand he has an incredible situation. He's got Shanahan calling plays. In my opinion, the second best play caller in the NFL. He's got weapons all over the field. He's got a great defense. He's got the best supporting cast in football. But at the end of the day, the team didn't look as good when Jimmy Garoppolo was at quarterback. Team didn't look as good when they had Trey Lance at quarterback. So you got to give Brock Purdy some of his flowers. The guy wins. The guy puts up numbers. And he's made some big plays. So I agree with you. I think he's better than some people give him credit for. He's not a upper echelon quarterback in terms of talent. But what does that mean? The guy wins games. Tom Brady didn't have the most gifted athletic ability either. James says, Chris, how you seen the Steelers meltdown? Yeah, I have. I didn't watch last night's game, to be honest with you. I watched the other game. I was at a bar for the Cardinals game. I was watching that every now and again for draft purposes. I was hoping the Cardinals would win. But yeah, I saw who they lost to. You lost to arguably the two worst teams in the NFL outside of the Carolina Panthers. So I'm not surprised. I am at least moderately surprised, but I'm not stunned. The Steelers, to me, have always felt like a team this year who have significantly overachieved, like they always do. And I was surprised they were where they were. Let's see. Milkman says, if the Texans win the division, then CJ Stroud is without question MVP. I mean, I don't think he'll win it, Milkman, but I don't disagree with you. He'd probably get my vote if I was voting for a quarterback, but I don't think he'll win it. Probably mainly due to the fact that he's a rookie. I think they'll give it to somebody else. But if I had to vote, for me, it would be Stroud or Tyreek Hill right now. Let's see. Afghanistan says a guy like Stroud seems much more deserving, in my opinion. Yeah, I think he'd have my vote right now if I was voting for the MVP. If I was going quarterback, I think I'd vote CJ Stroud. But I think Hill has the slight edge for me overall. But quarterback, I agree. I think I'd go Stroud. Kashif says this year is showing was the real head coach of the team last year. You talking about the if we're being fair, Kashif, the Eagles are still 10-2. As much as I hate the Philadelphia Eagles and as bad as they looked last week against the 49ers, they're still 10-2. Still got to give them their props. Mahomes is at a down year. I mean, are you surprised? Well, for him, he's at a down year. But are you surprised? Look at his receivers. He's literally outside of Travis Kelce, who's tremendous. He's literally throwing to the same wide receiving core that Daniel Jones had last year with Kadarius Toney and Richie James. He's got nobody to throw to. So I'm not stunned that Pat Mahomes hasn't had a godly-like year at the quarterback position from a statistical perspective. You need help at the quarterback position. So I'm not stunned. Let's see. Yeah, I could beat Baddog in a fight with completely blindfolded, my hands tied behind my back, and my legs tied together. I would absolutely destroy Baddog in a fight. You could clip that and show it to him. Ray says it would be a travesty if Hill doesn't win the MVP and he breaks the 2K record. I think he should win it, but I don't think he will. Vin says, I think Russell Wilson is in the same situation in Denver. Meaning what, Vin? Regarding what? I actually said that to my fan. Not that I think Russell Wilson should win the MVP, but I think his year is not being talked about enough. He's actually had a really nice bounce back year, if that's what you're referring to. I don't think he should be the MVP, but I do think he's had a good year. I think he should be getting more credit from some people than he's gotten. Let's see. Oh, not having anyone to throw to? You're talking about? Yeah. Oh, to be fair, I think Russ's weapons are probably better. Again, I want to preface it by saying Travis Kelce's tremendous. So maybe not, but they got some good wide receivers there. They have Judy's a talented wide receiver. So is Cortland Sutton. They have some talented wide receivers there. And Chris B says, Eagles point differential reminds me of the Vikings last year. Yeah, it does. Yes. I think they're definitely a better team than the Vikings were last year. The Vikings had a very, they had a Swiss cheese defense, which the Eagles aren't on that level. But yes, in terms of, I think the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken, last year actually had a negative point differential. But if you look at the Eagles' schedule this year, I mean, look at their wins. They've beaten the Patriots by 5. They beat the Vikings by 6. Their only double-digit win all year, they've had 2. They beat the Dolphins by 14. That's impressive. And they beat the Bucks by 14. Other than that, everything's been 3 points here, 7 points. So they haven't blown out anybody, and they really haven't beaten anybody of note other than the Cowboys, who I think they will lose to this week. We'll see. And the Dolphins, like I said, but the Dolphins for me are
They beat the Chiefs too. They beat the Chiefs.
Oh, that's right. They beat. I'm looking at the beginning of the schedule.
That's because like I said, Valdez-Scantling dropped the pass.
Yeah,
otherwise he was wide open.
Really good. They're very good, but they don't give me dominant Super Bowl.
No, they're not as good as they were last year.
Yeah.
My mom, so I told you couples nights tomorrow. My mom's watching my son, so he's all excited about it. My mom calls my wife's phone. I don't know what the hell that was all about, but whatever. She'll call me. She calls my wife. She figures my wife will tell me my mom's on the phone. You never answer when I call. She says that's BS, but it is what it is. Mom's always gives me a hard time. Hey, mama. Okay, man.
Right. Who says, Chris, what are the chances of Tiki Barber getting into the Hall of Fame? I hope he gets in. I think eventually he will get in. But I don't think it'll be this year. But I think eventually he'll get in. I think he was too good. He was at the top of his game. Like Baddog, you think about, there are so many players in the NFL who did not have, like Joe Namath, for example, and not that I'm comparing Barber to Namath in terms of his impact on the game. Like that's why Namath is in, right? But he didn't have a long, period where he was dominant. You think about Terrell Davis. Again, Terrell Davis won 2 Super Bowls. I get that. Was the most impressive player on those teams. But he only had 3 or 4 years where he was dominant. Mm-hmm. Tiki Barber had 3 straight years where he was collectively, if you combine the 3 years, he was the best running back in the NFL. And among one of the best weapons overall in the NFL. So, but I think he will get in.
He's top 15 in yards from scrimmage all time.
Yeah.
He had over 10,000 rushing yards. He averaged over 4.7 yards a carry. Not only that, he had well over 500 receptions. I mean, and he was a really good punt returner in his, heyday at the beginning of his career. I've been, touting for Tiki Barber to get in the Hall of Fame for years. This is nothing new for me. I've always believed he was a Hall of Famer. I don't know what the hell is taking so long. I think that he should go in without question. The guy was a Hall of Fame talent. People can get mad. Oh, I don't like what he said. I mean, listen, man, I'm over that shit. That was 17 years ago. We won 2 Super Bowls. I'm not going to be aggravated about what he said. He said what he said. He said something stupid. It doesn't take away what he did in the field. Doesn't take away he was the best player on our team for a long time. Best running back in the history of this franchise. He was special.
You know how many players, I just looked this up because I was curious. You know how many players in the history of the NFL had 10,000 yards rushing and 5,000 yards receiving?
Not many. 2?
He's one of them.
Marshall Faulk, the other one?
Tiki Barber, Marshall Faulk, and Marcus Allen. That's it.
And the other 2 are in the Hall of Fame.
That's the list. So, to me, how is Tomlinson not on that list? LaDainian Tomlinson didn't have...
I don't think he had a lot of receptions.
Really? I always thought he was a receiving threat coming out.
I don't think he caught a lot of passes.
He had almost 1,400 rushing. He was just under. He had 47.72. So, yeah, Tiki Barber is one of only 3 running backs in the history of football that have 10,000 yards rushing, 5,000 yards receiving. Like, he absolutely belongs in the Hall of Fame. Lane says, how do you feel about Zach Wilson, the Jets, and Robert Saleh? Obviously, it's an embarrassing moment for the Jets, but what else is new for that franchise? But, yeah, I mean, listen, I think Saleh's going to lose his job at the end of the day, and I think Joe Beningo has something to do with that, which is insane. But, yeah, I think Saleh's going to lose his job because I think he clearly probably lost the locker room after what went down with Zach Wilson. So, yeah, the Jets are going to be in a really weird situation next offseason because if they fire Saleh, which I think they're going to, and you fire Douglas, which I don't know if they will or won't, you're in a spot now where you're trying to attract a coach and a GM, and you got a 40-year-old quarterback, 41-year-old quarterback. They kind of had a situation going into the year where you said, okay, Douglas and Sala are going to get 2 or 3 years with Aaron Rodgers, and we'll see where this goes. The Jets are going to be in limbo next offseason. It's going to be interesting.
Maybe the Jets will draft a quarterback.
I think they definitely could. I think if they're in the right situation.
I've said this, and I'll say it again. If there was ever a Jets quarterback in this draft class, it is Bo Nix.
Oh,
that is a Jet. That guy is a Jet. If I've ever seen a Jet quarterback,
I could see that.
Bo Nix is a Jet quarterback.
I could definitely see that.
I
could see that. I could see that. I don't. It'll be interesting, but I actually think the Jets are going to go quarterback. I'd be well. I don't know. I think the Jets are If Douglas keeps his job, how do they go quarterback? You just traded away. You brought in Rodgers to go for it.
Yeah, the Jets. The Jets don't know what the hell they're doing.
Even though it looks like it's going to end up being the wrong decision. But if Rodgers is going to be back next year, how do you not either trade that pick for somebody that could help Rodgers immediately, or use it on a player who could help Aaron Rodgers immediately? So
maybe
I don't know.
Maybe they get another wide receiver. Maybe they draft him. Malik Neighbors.
You get a lineman. You get a wide receiver.
They drafted Romo Dunze. Who knows?
I think that's the way it's going to go. Unless they get a new GM, then maybe they will. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It's funny how the Jets talked all that shit after beating us, and they ain't won a game since. It's funny. It's funny how that works. Why the Jets would ever talk smack about anybody. And I know Aaron Rodgers, Jet life staying Wallace, man. He don't know what the hell he's doing. Man, you ain't even play. You played 3 downs for the Jets. How you talking any kind of crap about the Giants, buddy? You're new here. You got to learn. It's a Giants town. It'll always be a Giants town. I don't care who the hell they got in there. We've seen the Jets bring in former Packer Hall of Fame quarterbacks fail miserably. Yeah. Seen the Jets do this a lot. Bring in these quarterbacks, Boomer Esiason, failure. Neil O'Donnell, failure, right? Brett Favre, failure. Now, we don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to be, but this year is a failure. And then we've also seen him draft in the top 5. Mark Sanchez, failure. Sam Darnold, failure. Zach Wilson, failure.
You say it all the time about the Mets, and it's the same thing with the Jets. The Jets a lot of times will do what appears to be the smart thing to do in their situation, and it doesn't work. Like I responded to it. I saw somebody on Twitter say that the Giants have had the worst. It's been the hardest team to root for, and I said no, that's nonsense. We won 2 Super Bowls since 2008. The New York Jets, when you look since I've been watching football, mid 90s, 97, the Jets have the first pick. And if you're a Jets fan, you're like, oh, my God, Peyton Manning. He's coming out in the draft. We're going to get Peyton Manning. Instead, Peyton Manning stays in school. They trade back. Orlando Pace goes to the Rams, who ends up being the greatest tackle like ever. And they don't get Peyton Manning. Then Mo Lewis hurts Drew Bledsoe and spawns Tom Brady. Belichick is going to be the head coach for the New York Jets. And then the day later goes to coach for their arch nemesis, the New England Patriots. Brett Favre goes to the Jets. He gets hurt 4 plays in. There has not been a more hard luck franchise since I've been watching football than the New York Jets. It's not even close.
Yeah. Well, I watch the Jets a little bit longer. So the 80s, they didn't really have these issues. They were a playoff team most years. Kenny O'Brien, Al Toon, Wesley Walker, Johnny Hector, Freeman McNeil. Like, I remember those Jets teams. And, of course, the Sack Exchange, Joe Klecko, Marty Lyons, Mark Gastineau. Like, I liked those Jets teams. I remember in 86, the Jets started off 10-1.
Yeah.
And then they didn't win another regular season game. Then they won I forgot who they beat in the post. I don't know if it was the Chiefs the first game. Then they lost in double overtime to the Browns. But I remember thinking to myself that year, because the Giants at that point were 9-2. And I'm thinking, Jets Super Bowl, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
The Jets were a good team. And of course, the Jets did us dirty in 88. The Giants just had to win a freaking football game against a Jets team that was just playing out the season. And of course, they gave up a touchdown at the end of it, and they made the playoffs in 88. But the Jets were a pretty good team in the 80s. And then since Kyle Brady, I think that was the guy.
Kyle Brady, tight end.
They just had some really, really questionable picks, and the picks that you thought were going to be great were not great. Yeah, they've had a lot worse than we have historically.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you the answer, I think, Giants realist to this. Why can't the Giants have a stadium like Dallas Rams or the Raiders? We have the dump of a stadium called MetLife. $1 billion here doesn't go as far as it does in Texas. Doing large part the taxes, and I think that's a big part of it. But the other thing I'll say though, Met Stadium is beautiful. At MetLife Stadium. So I was, I'm sorry, Citi Field rather. I was very underwhelmed when the Giants and Jets built their stadium. They did not do a good job on it.
No, they did not. That architect's fired.
Toasty says, unrelated to football, glad the Yanks got Soto, but I think he will leave for the Mets at the end of the year. Also, I now have all 4 Super Bowl ornaments. Well, that's awesome.
I think Mets fans doing this because, like I said, they've been doing this to me on Twitter all day today. I think it's just the Mets fans' way of coping that the Yankees got Juan Soto. I don't know. Why does Mets fan think that he's just going to go to the Mets?
To be honest with you,
I'm not even saying that he's going to resign with the Yankees, but why is he automatically a Met? Why can't he go? Why can't he be a Dodger? They have money. Why can't he be a Red Sox? They have money.
I obviously don't like the Yankees, but I was relieved when the Yankees got Juan Soto because there were some rumors out there that the Braves may be interested. So I was like, keep him out of the division. But hey, Juan Soto's going to be back with the Yankees. I have no doubt in my mind. You tell me, Baddog, maybe I'm wrong. When has there been a player that the New York Yankees
we don't rent players like that
have gone out and traded for and they didn't keep them?
They don't not for guys like Juan Soto. You're not letting that. You didn't just trade everybody because you think, oh, we're one player from the World Series. The Yankees won 82 games last year. And they gave up a lot of pitching. And we don't have a lot of pitching. Now they're going to make a run at Yamamoto, but Soto will certainly help Aaron Judge. That's what I'm most excited about. Not only is Juan Soto a great player, power to all fields, left-handed bat, but the protection he gives Aaron Judge is unbelievable. But I don't know why I don't like Mets fans just assume he's going to be a Met. Like I said earlier, the Yankees have money. The Yankees can give him $500 million. It's not a problem.
And as a Met fan, I'm not jealous because we're in the National League. We still have a rich owner. We'll get our Soto. We're going to get somebody. I promise you. But the Soto, if you're Soto, you are playing for the New York freaking Yankees. Like that's money in itself, right? With you saw what it did for Jeter. Like you're playing in the sports mecca, like all 4 major sports. It's the New York freaking Yankees. And you're a lefty power hitter.
Yep.
Why in the world would you ever want to leave the short porch at Yankee Stadium? Like, if all things are equal and the Yankees are willing to pay Soto, which there's no reason to think they won't, like, Cashman's all in on this. They're gonna keep Soto. They're going
to try. It's not like they're just going to let him go away. It's not like the Yankees. Listen, he's going to hit free agency. I'd be surprised they work something. You never know. But he'll hit free agency. But I'm not going to. The Yankees are going to go, okay, we're not even going to make an offer. The Yankees may say to him, okay, listen, we'll give you 9 years, $430 million. And maybe the Mets come in and maybe Cohen says, I'll give you 10 years, $600 million. And the Yankees say, okay, well, we can't compete with that. And then you're going to have them.
The same thing happened when the Mets traded for Lindor. People started saying, oh, the Mets shouldn't have done it. It's a heavy free agent class at shortstop. He's going to sign somewhere else. It was a 1-year rental. He signed back with the Mets. I'd be stunned if he doesn't go back to the Yankees. Toasty says, Soto won a ring before he could drink. He's so good. He did.
He's good.
He did. He's great. He's going to be great for the Yankees.
I can imagine it. But just like I said, for years, Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz haunted me. And I'm thinking to myself, there's our Ramirez and Ortiz, Judge and Soto. That could be really good for a long time. Judge is still 30. Judge isn't young. Soto is.
I think this is comparable to when the Yankees got A-Rod. It's A-Rod, the A-Rod and Jeter combo. I think it's similar to that with Soto and Judge. Like you have 2 of the top 5 hitters of baseball in your lineup. Like that's insane.
They both walk a lot too. They're high and base guys. They hit for average, they hit for power.
Yeah.
That's a good combination. Like I said, don't underlook Alex Verdugo. I think that was a really good move to get another lefty pat. And when Jason Dominguez is healthy, it sucks that he got hurt at the end of last year. He's going to miss some time, but he looked like he could be the real deal. And he's only 20, 21 years old. So that Yankee outfield could be really good for years to come. We'll see.
Yeah.
Listen, I whatever happens in 2025 happens, but I'm looking forward to 2024 for the Yankees. I already want spring training to be here. I wanted Yankee baseball in October.
Yeah.
This season was over for the Giants.
I just hope the Mets get Yamamoto. Otherwise, I'm going to be very, very underwhelmed with this.
I was joking around on Twitter because, Mets fans are saying so there's just a rental for the Yankees and this and that. So I put like a GIF or GIF or whatever they're called of somebody jumping off a cliff, and I said, "This is Mets fans when Yamamoto decides to sign with the Yankees."
I'm gonna tell you what, the Yankees are gonna at least drive up the price on the Mets. The Mets aren't gonna get him for cheap. That's for damn sure.
They'll drive the price up on each other, and then I'm going to the Dodgers.
Yeah, Stone Sour says this baseball is. I think it's easier to do player comps in basketball to football because baseball is just a completely different animal because you have pitchers and it's just a different dynamic. So it's very hard for me to compare a hitter.
And they play every day.
Yeah, to any NFL player, but I mean he's elite. He's one of the 10 biggest names in the sport of baseball. So he's huge, and he's young. He's 25. He's in the prime of his career. So
yeah.
Think of it like Josh Allen. I don't know with the Bill. Like he's huge. He's a huge star. But baseball, one star. We know that everybody. If you're a baseball fan, a star doesn't make that big of a difference in terms of the win-loss column by himself. You look at the Angels; they had the 2 biggest stars in the sport. They couldn't win anything. So it doesn't have the same effect of an individual star in like basketball in terms of the win-loss column.
Yeah, because you can move around them. How many times did he pitch around Aaron Judge?
Yeah.
Because AJ LeMay was hitting behind him, or Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was hitting behind him. Oh, geez. Let me throw this 3-1 fastball right down the middle of Aaron Judge when IKF is hitting behind him, or Josh Donaldson. I don't want to take my chance with Josh Donaldson. Let me just challenge Aaron Judge. That ain't going to happen with Juan Soto back there.
Yeah, and Toasty says, not high on Japanese pitchers. The ball is smaller. I'll tell you what, I was happy with Senga last year as a Met fan. And this guy, by all accounts, is supposed to be much better than Senga. Senga was one of the top 5 pitchers in the National League last year. So, to me, he proved he could get it done last year. Yamamoto's a lot younger. He's 25. He's got better stuff. He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid big. He's going to get a massive contract. So, I'll sign me up. I get a 25-year-old stud pitcher. I'm sold on him.
Yeah, without question.
I know, like, people get scared, because Arabu with the Yankees, he didn't pay. But, like, listen, that guy's the goods if you watch him pitch. He's really good.
Yep.
Let's see. Bad take. Well, I don't know what you said was a bad take, Kingzo. Regarding what? Ryu says, Chris, I got a nasty ass splitter or fork. Well, it has, the ghost fork. What is it called? The ghost fork or whatever it's called.
Yeah. I also bring it back up. Masahiro Tanaka was good for the Yankees.
Yeah, he was.
So
speaking of which, the Mets got a former Yankee, which I know is going to bomb with the Mets because every time we sign one of your guys, we got Betances, he bombed. We got Severino, but he was banged up last year. But he'll be in the back end of our.
I saw that. He sucks, man.
Yeah.
He does not have the stuff he has. He's been injured too many times. It's like Betances. He just doesn't have. That fastball is not 98, 99 anymore. It's like 95.
Oh yeah, I agree, Kingzo. That not high in Japanese pitch. That does not bother me at all. If the guy could play, he could play. I'm not.
Yeah. Listen, I'll take him. The Yankees want to bring Yamamoto in here. I'm good. I'll take it.
Yeah. Let's see. Minimum Juan Soto this year: 40 home runs, 115 RBIs, 307 to beat.
I love it. It's got to stay healthy, and
I
don't project stats, but we'll see what happens. I just like that. He should increase Aaron Judge's stats.
Alex says, I'm not a college ball guy, but I've seen all the Penix hype fall off. What's the reason?
He hasn't played as well.
Yeah, and I think that there's just that's probably part of it. But Penny played pretty well against Oregon, didn't he? He had a decent, solid game.
Yeah, both games against Oregon. Listen, you're undefeated, and he's going to get a challenge. He's going to play Michigan. They're going to get a challenge.
I think there's sexier prospects out there. There's guys that people think have a higher ceiling than a guy like Penix, like Jaden Daniels, for example. He's been getting a lot, and probably because they're younger, they're dual threat quarterbacks. But Penix is good. Penix is going to go in the first round. He'll go in the first. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, somebody did a mock draft and had Penix going to the Giants 38. I said Penix isn't going in the second round. They're like, because he does this, he does that. I'm like, he's not going in the second round. He ain't going in the second round. Oh, he got hurt. People don't even know his injury history. Guys, like, he tore his ACL 3 times. Like, he tore both ACLs. No, he didn't. Tore the same ACL because he came back too soon from his first ACL injury, and it was 5 years ago. So his biggest knock is going to be he's not a very mobile quarterback.
I think he's more mobile than people give him credit for, though.
He's not a rusher, though, per se.
No,
he can move.
Yeah, but You never know with the quarterback. I agree with you. I don't think he'll go a second round, but quarterbacks drop. It's very hard to predict where quarterbacks are going in the draft.
I love Michael Penix. I'd have no problem if the Giants said we'll take a Michael Penix. None. I still love Michael Penix.
Let's see. 23 more wins in 23 season. I don't know what you mean by that, Mike.
105 wins for the Yankees. I think is what he's
saying.
saying.
He's predicting 105. Oh, I see what he's saying. 105 wins for the Yankees.
I can see the Yankees winning about 98. I still don't like her pitching.
I think you got to wait. Yeah, I think you got to wait to see what they do with that. With the rest of their offseason.
Yeah, I don't like her pitching. I still don't like.
Yeah, you got to add a couple of, and they will. I don't know if you'll get Yamamoto, but you're definitely going to add some arms. Blake Snell.
You hope if you're a Yankee fan, you hope Rodon has a much better year than he did last. He was terrible last year.
Yeah. Penix very good in the pocket and very good pre and post snap.
He's a gamer too. He'll tell you he ran the wrong route. He get in your face. I like Penix. I've always liked Michael Penix. So
that's
I like when people say age is a concern. He's 23 years old.
The age thing is nonsense.
He's 23.
The age thing doesn't bother
people
me.
want Bo Nix. Isn't Bo Nix older than Michael Penix?
I don't view age as a negative at all when it comes to the quarterback position, but I could see somebody viewing a younger quarterback like being a positive if they're only 20 because they haven't quite fully developed yet, and there's a lot more to grow up.
Right, like Jaden Daniels is 21.
Yeah, like I could see that being
Caleb
more.
Williams is 21, right?
But I wouldn't be scared to draft a quarterback who was 23. Back in the I've said this before, in 1990, quarterbacks weren't starting till they were 25. So that wouldn't deter me from drafting if I really liked him. I could see the only argument I could get is people could say, well, is it that impressive a 23, 24-year-old is dominating 18-year-old college kids, a guy that's had 5 or 6 years of experience at the collegiate level? But hey, look at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was 24.
I was going to say, how old is Joe Burrow?
Yeah, so listen, if the guy could play, he could play. It's the same thing that I say about the helmet. When people say, oh, you can't draft this guy because if the guy could play, he could play. It's the same thing with the age. Like that wouldn't deter me.
Don't draft the guy from I'm gonna helmet scout. Don't draft the guy from Duke. Don't.
No.
Don't do that. Giants don't do that.
Okay. Matt says Louis talking crazy as if Washington were 11-0 and overhyping Sam Howell nonstop. Bad Dog put him in his place. Love the Super Friends stream though.
I had to put him in his place because I've said this before. I'll say it again. Sam Howell's Daniel Jones. That's what he is. Well, you're crazy. Why? Take away his 3 best games where he's got 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. The rest of them, he's got 8 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. That ain't good. So it's you look at the wrong games because he had 1 touchdown and 8 interceptions against their teams. Okay. Well, take the minimum, then take the other 10 games he's played or whatever. Let's take the other 8 games. He's got 6 touchdowns and 7 picks. That's not good. That's the majority of his stuff. Now, he could be better. Maybe he gets better. I don't know. He's a 5th-round pick, so if he sucks, he sucks. But I don't know why some Washington fans think he's the savior. He's not. He's very inconsistent, which you knew he would be. He's a rookie. Maybe he develops into a good quarterback. Maybe he doesn't. I'm just not impressed with him yet.
I don't think you should be sold on him by any means.
Right.
Yeah. I don't.
There's a lot of questions there. And on top of it, this is his first season.
Yeah.
Teams will have more film on him going into next year. They'll know his tendencies even better. And
let's put it this way, Bad Dog. If Washington elects to stick with him long term, I wouldn't be losing sleep over it. Right. I don't watch him play and say, "Oh my God, this guy's going to be a guy that could be an elite quarterback." I wouldn't lose sleep over it. He could be a decent quarterback, but I don't see him being anything super special.
Yeah, I don't either. Like I said, Daniel Jones, that's kind of what he reminds you. He kind of is that guy where he makes some really he makes some really good plays, and then he makes some questions like, "What the hell are you throwing it? What the hell was that?" So
yeah. Toasty, yeah, no, this year, from a statistical perspective, I think it is a good comparison to Jones's rookie year.
Yeah.
Toasty says, trivia, who is the only player to have 8,000 career rushing yards and play for the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants? Ooh, good question. All right, now we got to think about this. So a running back that played for
Herschel Walker.
I think you're right. Yeah, you got to be.
Herschel Walker.
Yeah, you got to be right. You hit it on the head. I thought about real quick, but I'm like, no, we didn't have 8,000 yards. But I remember Brian Mitchell played for the Giants, I think, for 1 year. I didn't remember if he played for the Cowboys, but I'm like, he never had 8,000 yards. You hit it. Herschel Walker, that's it. You hit it on the head. Chris says, no, I will not. Next year, I will definitely be going to a game. I will buy my ticket before the year starts, so I have to force myself to go. But once things bottomed out for this team, I was like,
Yeah, of course you can get tickets for like a tenth of the price.
yeah, but no, I don't think I'll be going to a game this year. Next year, I'll buy tickets before the season starts, so I'm forced to go. But once everything went to hell, it was like I'd rather just sit home and watch the games. Let's see. What's the quarterback class like next year?
It's good.
I don't know
Very
if you mean.
deep.
I don't mean if you mean. I don't know if you mean this upcoming quarterback class or the following quarterback class. I can't tell you next year's quarterback class because we got to see which quarterbacks come out this year. But I think a lot of these guys are going to come out. But does Shedeur Sanders stay in? Does JJ McCarthy stay in? So I have to see, before I could really give an opinion on
Quinn Ewers staying.
Does Quinn Ewers stay? So got to see who's coming out and who's not. Let's see.
Sanders would be best to stay. Colorado got a 5-star recruit. Colorado's going to recruit better this year.
To be honest with you, I think McCarthy would be better to stay. But the only thing with McCarthy, because McCarthy could be a top 3 or 4 pick next year if he has another good year and it's not as rich of a quarterback.
Sanders. I mean, Sanders had only increased his draft.
But the thing with McCarthy, where I may be more inclined to go to the draft this year, I think Harbaugh is going to leave Michigan because of everything that happened with the
Could you see him coaching the Bills?
I'm gonna tell you the team that I think Harbaugh is going to end up on. I think Harbaugh.
The Jets.
Jets. It wouldn't stun me if they had an early pick, but no, I think Harbaugh. I'm gonna call it right now. We'll see if I'm right. I think he's going to be the coach of the Chicago Bears. He played for the Bears. The Bears are going to have the first pick in the draft. So he's going to be able to take the quarterback of his choice, and they're going to have another top 3 or 4 pick. I think he's going to leave Michigan, and he's going to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears next year. That's what I think is going to happen.
Very possible.
Maybe
he'll take JJ McCarthy because he plays in Michigan.
Hey, you never know. I've always been a huge Harbaugh fan. Nick Station says, if the Giants draft a lineman in the first, I will flip out mainly because of the top 2 tackles. I've never played a snap at right tackle. I got to see what we're picking before I say we're going to flip out. Like, I wouldn't want a lineman at 3, 4 personally.
7.
We're picking like 8, 9. I'm not going to flip out if we take a lineman.
I don't want one. Just give me a wide.
I'm just saying I wouldn't flip out.
Give me a quarterback or wide receiver. The hell, sign linemen that can play in this league. Stop taking. You suck. You can't do it. Like we can't. For whatever reason, we can't draft. Like the Jets can't get a quarterback. We can't get a lineman.
Yeah.
Andrew Thomas is it.
Yeah.
Maybe JMS becomes something, but my God, I mean, it's insane now. We can't hit on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me another receiver. If we're drafting there, and Romo Dunze is, again, you take the comparables for what you will, but his comparable in the NFL is Devontae Adams. You telling me you wouldn't want to?
I'm with you, by the way. Like, if I had my choice and we weren't going quarterback in the first round, I would want a wide receiver. I think there's 3 wide receivers that warrant being top 10 picks in this year's draft. It's a clear need of ours. And I would certainly not ignore the line after that. I would fill up on linemen throughout the later portions of the draft. But I'm with you. I think this is a draft where it's very similar to I want to say 2021, was it? When you had Smith and Chase and Waddle. Very similar where there's 3 clear top 10 picks in this draft at the wide receiver position. So I'm with you. If we're not going quarterback, I'd want a wide receiver, I think.
Yeah. Harrison won't be there. He's going top 3. He'll go to the Bears. The Bears don't let that guy slide. I mean, like I said, the Bears can have Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
So that's fine. That's very possible.
Let's see. Do you guys think we will win any more games this year? I think we will, yeah. I think we're going to win at least one more. Which, whether it be the Rams, whether it be this game, the Saints game.
I think we can beat, but we don't play well in New Orleans. But I think that would be our best shot at a winner. Is against New Orleans.
I think we're going to win 1. We might win 2, but I think we're going to win at least 1. I don't think we lose out. Vincent says, the one thing I'll always remember about Jim Harbaugh was when he kicked Jed York out of a team meeting and said, this meeting is for men only. I think Harbaugh is the type of guy that you either absolutely despise or you really like. I've always been a big Harbaugh fan. So, yeah.
Harbaugh and Mike Ditka used to go at it back in the day.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Not that I experienced it, but I heard about it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wilhelm says, grab a vet. What I remember Harbaugh was when he was with the Colts, Captain Comeback. I remember when he played, I want to say the Steelers in the AFC title game, and he threw up a Hail Mary at the end of the game, and it touched like 12 guys' hands. And I thought the Colts came down with it. I remember that.
Oh, that would have been one of the biggest upsets ever. I was rooting for the Colts in that one.
But that was an insane championship game. I think, was Falk on that team? Was he? I think Falk was on that Colts team.
Yes, I think he was. He was a rookie that year. Was that 94?
Yeah, because I think it was the year that the Steelers lost to the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Yeah, it was
95. So he was a rookie that year.
Yeah.
I think.
Wilhelm says, grab a vet quarterback and O-line, draft Harrison Jr. in the first.
They're not getting Harrison unless they're picking top 3.
Yeah.
I think that's where he's going.
Were you surprised? And he's clearly the best wide receiver in the draft class. But were you surprised that he won the, what is it called? The Blitzman receiver
award?
Were you surprised he won that? Because statistically speaking, Neighbors is having a better year.
He goes to the best wide receiver in football. He's the best.
Yeah.
Not a question.
Yeah,
we have a Blitnikov winner on our team.
Yes, we do.
Hyatt. Yeah, his name's Jalen Hyatt. Let him eat. Tommy DeVito gets in the ball. You see when Jalen Hyatt gets the ball, he makes plays. The ball. Get Jalen Hyatt the ball. Throw the ball to Jalen Hyatt. Just throw the ball there. Let him eat.
Bookend says, whatever happens in the first round, some of the fan base will need therapy. That's a fact, because this is going to be a year, Bad Dog, where there's going to be some fans. They're going to want the Giants to take a quarterback no matter what in the first round. Yeah. Understandable.
I get it. I want a quarterback too.
They don't take a quarterback. There is going to be a portion of the fan base that's going to go ballistic. If the Giants have the 7th pick and 6 quarterbacks go with the first 6 picks, there's going to be some fans that want them to take a quarterback. So there will absolutely.
If you're on Twitter, you're not making them all. It's impossible. Some of them are going to bitch no matter what the hell they do. Some people are not happy unless they're complaining.
Yeah,
like the people that were making a big deal about the Tommy DeVito ranking Italian foods and saying this is an embarrassment. Are you what? Are you serious about this? You get upset because Tommy DeVito is ranking Italian foods.
Yeah. Come on.
Okay.
Have some fun.
Like, that's what I'm saying. What I mean, get real. You don't expect this kid to even be starting. Who cares?
And
it's not the end of the world.
King Josh says Harrison may not even leave college. She's leaving college.
It would be well advised to leave college and get a big payday, as opposed to going back there having nothing to prove and getting hurt, dropping your draft stock.
Yeah, I know. Like he hasn't come out yet and said it. He's leaving college. I'd be stunned if he doesn't leave college. He's going to be a top 3 or 4 pick in this year's draft. You can't risk getting hurt next year.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, these guys have a shot at a payday. They're gonna take it.
It's not like the uncertainty with a guy like Shedeur Sanders or
Quinn Ewers or whatever.
Quinn Ewers or McCarthy. Like they could go anywhere from 4 to 30. With a guy like Harrison, you're going top 5.
Yeah, so you're the best receiver. You really can't. You really can't increase your draft stock. Like Shedeur Sanders definitely could. I think a year of development with a better team, a better team around him. Yeah. I think Shedeur Sanders this year probably be a late 1st round, 2nd round pick. I do. Yeah. I think next year, you look at the draft class of guys that come. There is no Caleb Williams there that I know. There's no Drake May. There's none of these guys. I think Shedeur Sanders might be a top, 2 or 3 quarterback next. He's not. This year, he would come out. He would not be the 3rd quarterback off the board. He may be next year, so he could. And the other thing with Shedeur Sanders is he don't need money.
Yeah,
he got.
That's
money.
True. He's got the endorsement.
He doesn't need it. I mean, I'm sure all these players have money, but not like the Sanders guys do.
It's true.
You see the. Look, I'm Italian. I like jewelry. You see the pieces around their neck, people. Why worth more than my damn automobile is? Okay, so they ain't hurting.
He's gonna make more money next year in college than he will in the NFL. So because he's probably won't.
They're already doing commercials and stuff.
Yeah, if he was gonna be a top 4 pick, no. But if he's going back end 1st round, he's gonna make more money in college next year.
Yeah.
Chris says if the Giants don't take a quarterback, most people believe we will have hope if we bring Jones back as the starter next year. Listen, if that happens and Jones has a good year, you reassess. That would be great. That'd be a great problem to have. If the Giants have a great year and Jones remains on as the starter. I just don't see. I can't see them not addressing the quarterback position at all. It may not be a first-round quarterback. It may be a guy where they say, well, if things don't pan out and Jones plays really well, the guy could be a long-term backup if they take him in day 2. I don't know. I can't see the Giants completely ignoring the quarterback position in this year's draft. And I'd be stunned at this point, especially when you factor in the injury history of Daniel Jones, if he's going to be the long-term answer at the quarterback position. Could he remain on as the starter next year? That's entirely possible.
He's going to be the starter next year. He's coming back here no matter what. He will be the starter at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Unless, for whatever reason, he has not healed from his ACL injury.
Yeah.
He'll be a starter. You're not starting a rookie. Now, if the Giants do draft, say, a Jaden Daniels, and the Giants start off 0-3, you're going to start hearing you're going to start hearing those chants. Jaden Daniel, you're going to hear that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So no matter who it is, Michael Penix, it ain't going to matter. They're gonna cheer for the back. But Jones, no matter what the Giants do in this draft, I believe is a starter next year. I believe he's a starter. You let the rookie sit. It happens. It happened with Mahomes, right? It happened with Sam Howell. It happens a lot of quarterbacks. Sometimes it's better for them to sit and study and learn the game before taking the field. But in New York, you definitely get the accelerator on you when you start off poorly. And on the flip side of that, if the Giants start off good and Jones plays really well, maybe he has some trade value, because you saw how many quarterbacks have gone down with injuries this year. And maybe somebody says, listen, we think Daniel Jones will be good here. We'll give you something.
I can see a team. It has to be the right situation, and Jones has to be playing well for him to have trade value. But
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I could see a team that convinces themselves, like let's say Jones was playing like he was last year, this year, and Purdy got hurt. I could see the 49ers being like, yeah, we'll trade something because we have the team that could support Daniel Jones to potentially win a Super Bowl. I could see something like that for him, but he'd have to be playing really well. It meant no hope. If they bring back Daniel Jones, I agree. But at the end of the day, he's not going to cave to the fan base if he doesn't think it's the right decision. But I agree with you. But the last thing he should do is force a quarterback pick. Alex Rizzo says, yo, Baddog, where's the Juan Soto reaction? Going to get Yamamoto so excited finally being the Yankees, I'm sure.
Yeah, by the time I just didn't do it. It was too late for me to do a reaction. I found out about it. It happened late at night. I remember that. I think I woke up. I think I fell asleep and woke up and saw it 11:50, and I just tweeted out, hey, the Yankees got Juan Soto, and then I went right back to sleep. And then the next day I was really busy, so I didn't have the opportunity to do it. And then I was like, the time's passed at this point. So otherwise I would have done it for sure. But I can tell you this: if the Yankees do get Yamamoto, you'll get a video for sure.
Yeah. We'll see. King Josh says,
you're right, Alex. Yankees are being the Yankees. And it's about damn time Cashman grew his set again and went out and did something. But Cashman did also admit you can't really outbid Steve Cohen. So if Cohen wants to give Yamamoto $500 million,
I think he's going.
He's going to have the gracefully bow out and say, hey, we can't go over $400 million. So
I think especially after you guys got Soto, I think Cohen's going to do what he's got to do. I still think the Mets are going to get Yamamoto, but hey, you never know. But I think he's.
You don't know. Like I said, he can end up in the Dodgers. He can end up with the Cubs. You don't. Yeah. You never know. There's always some
this way. I think the Mets will match any offer that Yamamoto.
I can tell you this. I don't think any team wants to get in the middle of a Yankee Met bidding war.
That's true.
Tell you that much right now.
And King Josh says it was reported that Harrison will make $25 million a year. Are you serious? 25? What do you mean, in college next year?
How?
Do you think he will more than 10 that as a pro? $25 million a year?
How does he get $25 million a year to play in college?
Well, I know they're making commercials and stuff now, but I don't think he would make.
They don't get $25 million a year. He gets the same commercials in the NFL.
Yeah. Chris Gallo says I think he will go to the Mets, but hey, I wouldn't be stunned if he ends up with the Yankees. But I do think Yamamoto will be a Met. But hey, I could be wrong. Let's see. Harrison Jr. was asked if he was going to come back to beat Michigan. So how do you answer the question? The reporters know what decision he makes to try to push. Yeah. Listen, this happens every year, Wampak. Players, they'll wait until like bowl season is done and then they'll come out and say it. I remember
He ain't going to play in the bowl game.
Yeah.
You'll know that. You'll know right there. If he, because it's a big bowl game, it's a New Year's Six bowl. So those are not shitty bowls. Like my Oklahoma Sooners are playing the Valero Bowl. Who gives a damn, right? But if he decides he's sitting on the bowl game, you know he's done. You're not playing for the national championship where regardless you're going to play like Devontae Smith did. But if he doesn't play in a New Year's Six bowl because like I don't want to get hurt going into the draft, you know what he's going to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Beating Michigan is probably not that important.
We said we were going to do this last year and we didn't get around to it. I would love to do it. It's just a matter, especially during the dead time of football.
We should do it.
We will do it. Maybe we're going to make a point to do it this year. We'll do a weekly, probably start in March, like when baseball season's coming around. We'll do it. We'll do a weekly. We'll do it like we alternate channels for the Giants. We'll do a weekly baseball show. I like that idea. Yeah. I think it's a good idea. I like that idea. You get the Mets and Yankees.
Yeah.
Sam says Malik Neighbors is my guy. 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns. College stats to me mean nothing. Hey, Sam, and I listen. I've watched Neighbors. I've seen some of his highlights. He's got a lot of talent, but college stats to me mean very little. But he's definitely very good. But I would take Marvin Harrison.
I can tell you this. I've joked around about this with Penix. I don't know where these guys are getting drafted, but I would love to be able to pair up the quarterback with the wide receiver. Now, it'd be difficult because I think all these quarterbacks are going to go in the top 10, if not near. So, and same thing with the wide receivers. But if there was a way you could pair Romo Dunze with Michael Penix, you'd be giving Penix some familiarity with a guy that he played contract. The same thing with Neighbors and Jane Daniels. I think the likely thing that the Giants could do, because again, the draft will have a lot the combine will have a lot to do with it. But if you take Odunze, 8th, say, and Penix is still there, and maybe you can trade back up into the middle. You can give up, next year's second and both of this year's second, and get your quarterback to pair them up.
Yeah,
maybe you do that, maybe you don't. Who the hell knows? Good
to see Harry. What's going on, Harry? He says, "Good evening to you guys. How are you both? Doing well, man. Good to see you, man. If we don't draft the quarterback in the first round, they must draft Dunze. He's the real deal. Big play."
I love him, Harry. I love Odunze. Again, he's as comparable as Devontae Adams because he's a big, tall guy. You see him adjust to the ball. He's 6'3", 215, really good size. Like him a lot, without question. Penix certainly leans on him. Why wouldn't you? I like Odunze myself.
I definitely think he's a guy that would intrigue me, depending on where we're picking. Harrison's definitely my one, but Odunze is near the top of my wide receivers after that. Ayub says, y'all are crazy. A pissed off A-Rod equals MVP play. Stop it. What are you talking about? Aaron Rodgers, or are you talking about Aaron Rodgers? I don't know who you mean.
I'm guessing he's talking about Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what he means, though.
What are we crazy about, though? We haven't really talked about Rodgers. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning.
Right.
I don't even think
Aaron Rodgers played 4 plays for the Jets.
I don't even think it was a bad move by the Jets. I think it was a good move by the Jets based off the situation their team was in. It just didn't work out in typical Jets fashion, but it could certainly work out next year if he could stay healthy. But yeah, I didn't hate that move by the Jets. It just hasn't worked out. Diddy says Jalen Daniels is the truth. He seems to be the flavor of the month. That's for sure.
Jaden Daniels, like I said, he's going to win the Heisman without question. I think he's the favorite. I think Penix fell to third. I do think Penix will. I think Harrison will finish second. I think Daniels is going to win the Heisman.
You think Harrison?
I mean, if LSU had any kind of a defense, they could be in the playoffs.
You think Harrison's going to get second place for the Heisman?
I can see it. I think
Bo Nix will get second for the Heisman.
Oh, that's true. Bo Nix, yeah.
Penix will be up there too.
Penix might have fallen out of it. I think Harrison's got to get some consideration.
I think interesting they do.
Yeah. I think they only bring 3, right? Don't they bring 3?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they only bring 3.
I don't think Penix is going to get there.
Yeah, I think Knicks will come in second. I don't love Knicks as a pro prospect, but I think he'll come in second.
I don't like Knicks either. Like I said, he's a perfect Jet.
The
He
Jets are
really
still
is.
in a better predicament than I agree with you. I just think I'm intrigued by what's going to happen this offseason with the situation. But I agree with you. I think the Jets are definitely in a better situation than the Giants are right now. Jets have more talent on in most position groups. And they have a proven quarterback if he can stay healthy. So I agree. As of now, the Jets are in a better spot. Now, what I will say,
Because
if
they're the Jets.
they are the Jets, and if the Giants hit on a quarterback, that changes real fast. But right now, yeah, I would say they are. Prumsy says, anyone here know what type of miracle circumstance would need to occur for the Giants to get to the playoffs? I mean, they're going to have to get to 8 wins. I think if they get to 8 and 9, you got a shot for sure, but you got to get to 8 wins. I don't think you're going to get him with 7. Let me look at the standings. I'm just curious. Right
Yeah, there's
now,
a couple teams that are 6 and 6, so you're not getting there with 7.
yeah. So right now, the wild card, there's a bunch of teams that are 6 and 6. So even at 8 and 9,
the Packers.
yeah, even at 8 and 9, we probably wouldn't get in because of tiebreakers. I do think a team that goes 8 and 9 will get in, but probably because of tiebreakers, it wouldn't be us. But yeah, that's a bare minimum. We're 4 and 8 now. We'd have to go 4 and 1 to have any chance in our last 5 games. So probably not happening. But it's fun. It's fun to dream. Let's see. Chetty, they have to beat the Eagles at least once. They'd have to go 4 and 1 to have any chance.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that earlier, Greg. But yeah, Bad Dog and myself both think they're going to extend Juan Soto. I saw you ask that a couple of times.
I think they'd be crazy not to give him an offer.
They
didn't trade all those guys for 1 season with him.
Yeah, but like,
you do that type of thing in the middle of the year. You know what I mean? That's something you do in the middle of the year when you're making a run.
Lindor didn't hit free agency the next year. They signed him in season. I think the Yankees would do the same thing with Soto, provided he's playing well, which there's no reason to think he won't be.
Right.
Let's see what play. We're not making the playoffs, I hope, but it's fun. I never get mad at dreamers, but we're not making. I just hope that we're not an embarrassment these last couple of games, and the last couple of weeks we haven't been.
Yeah.
FPL says we winning Monday. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but I think the Packers will win. But I do think we're going to keep it close. I don't think we're going to get embarrassed.
Yeah, I think it'll be close too.
I think this is one of those games where, like I said earlier, you sell high on the Packers. I don't think the Packers are quite as good as they've looked the last few weeks. And the Giants with the bye, I don't know. I see the Packers taking us a little lightly. I think it'll be a competitive game, but I think the Packers will win. Let's see. Niner for Life says Eagles and Cowboys are trash. Well, compared to you, they are.
I agree. And like I said earlier, Niner for Life, you are our best friends. Please.
Yeah.
Just kick their ass out of the postseason. Just kick their ass. Whatever one you have to play or both of them have to just beat their ass. I'm going to be the biggest Niner fan in the postseason. Without question.
Yeah.
Without question. You're our hope, man. So I'm leaning on it. It's my sister's favorite team. So I'm pulling for you guys.
Wampback says, and he later said not. So that was the mistake here. I'm going to give you the reason why it's not the same in terms of the development in free agency in baseball. But he says MLB free agency is a joke. It's not rapid fire like the NFL and NBA and even NHL free agency. Well, and because they're operating under a cap. But that's exactly why it's not rapid fire. Because when there's not a cap, teams are going to be a lot more patient and let the market play out because it's an unknown market, right? In football, when you know there's a cap, we knew going into the offseason, Daniel Jones is going to get between $35 or $40 million because that's the market for a quarterback, because that's what the market allows for a guy that's not an upper echelon court. So in baseball, it's an unknown market. So that's why it doesn't develop as quickly as the other sports. Tuto, he says, salute, a bunch of Italian. I know Tuto's excited. Man. But good to see you, man. And you got DeVito starting this week, a fellow Paisan. What does the chat think of DeVito this week? What do you guys think? You guys think he's going to have a lot of people seem to think that DeVito's going to completely fall on his face this week. Do you think the clock strikes midnight this week, Bad Dog, or do you think DeVito plays at least solid?
I don't think he falls flat on his face. I think that against the Cowboys, I get it. I mean, the Cowboys are a really good defense, and that was his first start in the NFL. So I understand that. I think he falls flat on his face. I'm not going to sit there and tell you he's going to have a game like he did against Washington, but I can see Tommy DeVito throwing for 235 yards and a touchdown, maybe touchdown interceptions. I don't think he's going to light the world on fire, but I also don't think that he's going to embarrass himself. I don't think he'll go out there and be Mac Jones.
Yeah.
So, I'm rooting for him. I can tell you that. Like I said, there's been very few good things for the Giants this year. He's been a pleasant surprise, and I don't know why people can't appreciate that. I really have a hard time understanding it. And I question, what the hell do you want from this team?
Yeah.
And Carl Banks, I think, said it best when he was on the show. I understand people wanting to tank. I totally get that. And I'm not telling you not to root for the Giants to lose every game. I definitely understand why you want to. I would never tell anybody how to root. But I think what Carl Banks' point was when he said, if you have that mentality of tanking, every time something goes wrong, you're going to sit there and go, I don't like this. I just want to tank. I just want to blow it. I just want to give up. Yeah. So I get both ends of the spectrum. And again, I don't know. We suck. I get it. We've been embarrassing for years, for a decade. I get it. It's been a rough. I'm a Giants fan. I've been there. I've been right there with you.
You want hope. I get it. You want hope.
It's tough.
But at the end of the day,
enjoy something nice for once. How do we know that he's not Brock Purdy?
You don't know. But listen, right. At the end of the day, Bad Dog, the way I look at the tank situation is, and again, neither one of us are ever going to tell people how to fan. We understand people who want to tank. It makes complete sense. That's your hope. You
I completely understand.
We get it. But my outlook has always been, we don't control it. I don't control it. So I'm a fan of the team. I'm going to root for the players and the coach to do well. And if they lose, I'm going to understand the benefit that comes with it.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you as a fan, if you're going to be miserable if the team wins, that's on you. I'm not going to be that guy.
Right.
So that's just the way I've always looked at it.
Right. And when the Giants get to this point in the season where, to me, wins and losses don't really matter outside of draft position, I don't care either way.
Yeah,
I'm more emotionally invested in the team when they still have a chance to make the postseason. That Seattle game was it for me. That was I got pissed. I was pissed off in that game because I felt like that was our season. I felt like going 2-2 with the Dolphins and Bills on deck. Seattle was not a great pass defense. I felt like we had to win. We got blown out. We didn't lose a competitive game. We got blown out. And once that happened, I got really pissed off, and then I just accepted the fact, we're going to be shitty again. And now if they win, I'm happy they win. And if they lose, like you said, I understand the benefits of getting a better draft pick.
Yeah,
I'm not angry. I don't get angry at the games. You said it best, Chris. You can't control it. I can't control what they do. Wish I could sometimes, but I can't.
And
if they win, I'm going to enjoy the win. And if they lose, I'm going to say, okay, got a better draft pick.
And if we're being real, tanking doesn't exist in the NFL. Maybe not. Maybe the last week it might, but and maybe teams go into the year with a mission of development, but the Giants did not. And the Giants are not going to go out there and intentionally lose football games. The coach's job's on the line. The players' jobs are on the line. Their jobs at their next spot are on the line. So it's not going to happen. So you're right. I get that you're rooting for the team to lose, but I'm not going to get bent out of shape if the team goes out there and wins a football game and they're competing their tails off. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Ayub says MLB and NBA lets the rookies learn, but in the NFL, everything is instant gratification. But I like it more because we see the result much quicker.
I think
that's true to an extent, Ayub. That's just really first-round picks. After that, there's, for the most part, well, here's the thing, Bad Dog. As Giants fans, no, because our teams have been so bad, we've had to throw the 5th-round pick into the starting lineup day one. But if you go to the 49ers, or you go to a really good football team, those guys sit and develop. You look at the Eagles, those guys sit and develop. So there's definitely development in the NFL as well. Not to the extent of baseball. There's a minor league system, but there's development in the NFL.
I think the other part of it, Ayub, is depending on the position, your shelf life in football is not as long as the other sports. Like you got, and again, I'm not trying to say everybody's LeBron James because they're not, but LeBron James is going to be 40, and the guy's still one of the best players in the league. You have baseball players that are in their late 30s, that still rip the cover off the ball. When you get into your middle 30s in the NFL, unless you're a quarterback, usually you're pretty much done at that point. So I think the careers in the NFL just aren't as long because of the the physical beating that your body takes, and a lot of injuries happen in the NFL. And not to mention the game is really fast and you slow down. As you get older, you don't get quicker. So I think that's also part of it with the NFL is you get a guy in there, you want to get the most out of the guy immediately. And that's what you want to get as many years as you can. So you sign a guy, especially like Chris, the top guys, you got them for 5 years before you have to pay him a big salary. So you might as well see what the hell they are. You don't want to send them for 2 years.
I think the quarterback market has the salary cap. Unfortunately, even though it's brought there's been a lot of positive things that have come from the salary cap in the NFL.
Parity. Yeah, the Cowboys haven't won anything since.
Well, and there's been a lot of parity. So I definitely think there's a lot of benefits to it. But with the salary cap, it's also made it so that you can't be as patient with players. You can't develop players at the same pace that you were able to in the past because it's a lot easier to win a Super Bowl when you're paying your quarterback on a rookie salary. So it's made it so the teams can't be as patient as they were in the past. Phil Simms, for example, probably wouldn't have made it with the Giants if there was a salary cap back then with the way that he started his career. I mean, probably. Eli Manning was a year away from probably not making it with the Giants if he had a bad year in 2007. Yep. It's just the way that the game is now.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's see. God, Cowboys fans coming here taking victory laps, poking fun at the Giants like they got nothing better to do. They're playing the.
I'll be honest with you, Cowboy Nation. Nobody gives a shit what other people think about the Giants. Nobody cares. We don't give a shit what you think. We don't give a shit what the Eagles think. We don't care. Who are you anyway? The entire fan. What do you talk to every fan base in the league? I'm pretty sure Patriots fans don't care about Tommy DeVito. I'm pretty sure that Steelers fans couldn't care less about Tommy DeVito. You can laugh at Tommy DeVito. We laugh at you. You ain't won shit in 30 years. Daniel Jones has one less playoff win than Dak Prescott. Wrap your head around that statistic. Daniel Jones has one less playoff victory than Dak Prescott.
One less playoff win than Tony Romo.
Correct. So wrap your head around.
Did he win one or two? I don't remember.
I think he won two.
Did he win two?
Yeah. And Dak's won two, I think.
Yeah.
So wrap your head around that. Worry about the Cowboys. Worry about getting to the NFC Championship game, for crying out loud. We've been there in the last decade. You haven't. Yeah. So you're pathetic. That's what's pathetic is a team that hasn't won jack squat in 30 years talks like they won something. You ain't won nothing. Worry about the Eagles. Don't worry about Tommy DeVito. You better worry about beating the damn Eagles. You're not taking a broom up your ass from them.
And listen, and he might win the MVP, Cowboy Nation. Dak Prescott about to win. But at the end of the day, if you don't win a Super Bowl, nobody's going to remember the MVP in 10 years from now. So who cares? Who cares about empty MVPs? Go out there and win a Super Bowl this year. Go out and compete for a Super Bowl. If you do it, I'll tip my cap.
Good for you. Dak can win an MVP. Win all the MVPs in the world. You think Dak wants an MVP? You think Dak wants a Super Bowl champion?
Matt Ryan won an MVP. Matt Ryan won an MVP. Nobody's going to remember it in 10 years because he lost the Super Bowl. He blew a 28-3 lead. So, okay, he won an MVP. Lamar Jackson won an MVP. What does that matter? He hasn't won a Super Bowl.
Right. It doesn't mean anything.
That's
Who cares?
Yeah. Carson.
But that's what they have to hang their hat on. Is he's number one. He's not about to win the MVP. We went over this earlier. Yeah. He beats Philadelphia. He makes his case for it.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to either, but he's in the conversation.
He's in the conversation. But it doesn't matter. Beat the Eagles. That's your problem. Not Tommy DeVito. What do you worry about Tommy DeVito for? We're 4-8. You got the biggest game of your freaking lives on Sunday night. You worry about Tommy DeVito?
Yeah.
That's funny to me.
He didn't win an MVP, Sherrod, but he would have had he not gotten hurt once. He didn't win the MVP. Who won the MVP that year?
2017?
Yeah. I don't remember.
Aaron Rodgers? Just a guess. I don't know.
Well, he was going to win the MVP that year once, but he got hurt. I can't remember who won the MVP that year. I don't remember.
Tom Brady. I knew it was one of those two.
It was Brady? Okay.
Tom Brady. It's either Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady.
Yeah. He would have, though. Wentz was great that year. He would have.
Yes, he would have. If he didn't tear his ACL, he was definitely the MVP.
Yeah. Let's see. Wait, let me get a VHS tape of your last Super Bowl bookend, sis.
Yeah.
So Giants
fans. I'll guarantee you. I will guarantee you that guy has never seen the Cowboys win a Super Bowl. Guaranteed.
Cowboy Nation, nobody's saying you can't talk smack about the Giants, but you're coming into a Giants channel's live show. Like, what do you?
Hold on a second. Nobody said you can't talk smack. But look at how defensive he's getting because we talk smack about you. If anybody's a soft ass around here, it's you.
What do you think's gonna? Like,
I'm allowed to defend my fan. I'm allowed to defend my team. You can't hack it. Get the hell out of here. You're the soft one, not us. I'm just stating facts here.
Chris,
you lost. Hold it. Hold it like you've held it for 30 years. Take it and hold the L. You got 2 in Dallas. Hold it there.
Chris says Tyreek Hill should win the MVP this year. We said it earlier. I agree with you. I think right now he would be my pick. He's on pace for 2,000 yards. He's on pace for like 20 touchdowns. I would like to know the record for most 50-yard touchdown receptions because if he didn't break that already,
I think that happened this year, right?
He has to hold that record, right? Like this is the best year I think I've ever seen a wide receiver have. If he could, I mean, Calvin Johnson's certainly up there where he had that incredible year. Jerry Rice had several incredible years, but
yeah, he did.
Tyreek Hill to me is on pace to Randy Moss. I think he had that 23 touchdowns or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But this to me is gonna be if he could stay healthy, he's gonna have the best year a wide receiver's ever had. And it's in a weak quarterback year. I agree. I think Hill would be my MVP right now. Yeah. Let's see. But he probably won't win it because it's a quarterback award. Cooper Kupp in 2021. Well, Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown that year. I think he had the most touchdowns. Let me see. Actually, that's a good one. Let me see what Cooper Kupp did that year. Cooper Kupp in 2021. Antonio Brown had several great years. Oh, wow. Kupp had 1947 that year. Wow.
Jesus.
He had 16 touchdowns. Hill's got 14. I think the difference with 2021, though, is there was better quarterback play. I don't remember who won the MVP. Probably Mahomes. I don't remember who won the MVP. It was Rodgers, actually. Rodgers had an historically great year that year. I think he had, like 45 touchdowns and like 3 picks. He had like a ridiculous year that year, I think. So that's the only reason why he wasn't in contention that year. Brady also had an historical year that year, too, if I recall, with the Bucs.
Brady had an historical year every year.
Yeah, he did. But I think that's the only reason why he wasn't in consideration that year because the quarterbacks were just mega that year. Let's see. Terry says, will the Giants reach that level of play? What level of play, Terry? What do you mean? In regards to what? You mean the Cowboys? I made the Cowboys? I don't know what you mean. This year they won't, if that's what you mean. But hopefully in the not too distant future. All you do is hope that this team starts to turn around. That's at the point where I'm at. It's like I've lost faith that it's going to happen next year and the year after. Like I have to see proof at this point. Like every time that I put my blind faith in this organization in recent history, they've slapped me in the face. So I've got to see it.
Yeah. We can't have nice things here.
Yeah,
with the Giants, they give us some hope going into this year, and then they slam the door right in the face of hope.
Yeah, they will eventually. But I don't know when. but eventually we will. One day. Let's see. We're gonna kick the Cowboys' butt for you, Baddog. I don't even know who I'm rooting for in that game, Eagles Nation. To be honest with you, no disrespect to you. I hate your team. I hate the Cowboys.
I hate them both, so
I'm hoping for a tie. I guess I don't
beat the hell out of one another. I don't care who wins.
Yeah,
one year's got to win and one year's got to lose. I don't want a tie either. I want one of them to lose.
I will say this: as much as I hate the Eagles, and I definitely hate the Eagles more than I hate the Cowboys, just because I say it all the time. My worst years as a fan worst memories as a fan is due to the Eagles.
Yeah,
I respect Eagles fans more than Cowboys fans. And
you should, because Eagle fans are a lot like we are. Cowboy fans are fair weather as hell. It's obvious. They don't know football. Eagle fans, as obnoxious and insane as they are, they're passionate about the team. And most of them live in Philadelphia. And they love it. They're not fair weather. It's just they are harsh like we are. Your team sucks. They let you know. We ain't happy with you. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's why Giants and Eagles fans bang heads so much. We're very similar. The cities are similar. Yeah. I say it all the time. Blue collar, hardworking, passionate, loud, obnoxious people. Philadelphia, New York.
Now, I don't like you guys.
Yeah, I don't like him either. I hate
I
him.
don't like
I
you. I
hate
don't like
you.
those fans. I'm no offense to you as individual people, but I respect you more than I respect Cowboys fans.
It's because, like I said, Cowboys fans are fair with their fans. They don't know anything.
And Chris Peace, let's see if we could name them. In the past 20 years, only 3 non-quarterbacks won MVP. Well, right off the bat, Adrian Peterson is one of them.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else was a non-quarterback that won the MVP in the last 20 years? You go back to 2004. I mean, Priest Holmes had some incredible years, but did he win MVP?
I don't know if Priest Holmes.
Tomlinson. Did Tomlinson win the MVP?
Maybe. I'm trying to think of when. I think Tomlinson did win an MVP, but I don't know what
he did.
year.
I think Tomlinson did. So that's 2. I
Randy
know.
Moss. Did Randy Moss win? No, because even the best year went to Brady in 07.
Sean Alexander, somebody said, was he the LT wasn't in the last 20 years, Royal Wolf. He won in 86. Somebody said Sean Alexander. He may.
That would have been 2000. That would have been 2005.
Yeah,
I think he had 1,800 yards that year, and Sean Alexander had more than him.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I think he's right. I think Alexander is the third one. Yeah. Okay. So Tomlinson, Peterson, and Sean Alexander.
So
I don't think a wide receiver's ever won the MVP. Jerry Rice didn't win the MVP.
Rice had to win it in 87, maybe. He had 22 touchdowns in 12 games. Let's see if Jerry Rice ever won. Let's see.
I mean, he always had Montana, right? So that's what he had going against him.
No,
but,
Elway won it in 87.
Yeah, I don't think our wide receivers ever won MVP. At least in modern history.
He finished second in 87. No, second. He finished second in 1995. He finished third in 94, third in 93. Yeah, he never won. If Jerry Rice didn't win MVP, I don't know.
Nobody else. Not at least in the Super Bowl era.
No,
nobody else. Matt says the fact that Tyreek isn't top 5 with the horrible quarterback play is a disgrace. Well, he should be top 5. I don't know if he will be, but he should be. This is the type of year.
Cooper Kupp did it. Oh no, first place vote. He didn't win the MVP. He got a first place vote.
Yeah. If there was like a dominant like if JJ Watt had one of his dominant years this year, that would be in contention for the MVP. It's just one of those years, but I just don't know if the wide receiver is going to get the vote. Rich says Giants will suck for several years and find a way to win the Super Bowl. Then they aren't good for a few years and then win the Super Bowl again. Only team that has won a Super Bowl in 4 straight decades.
That is incredible, Chris. A wide receiver has never won an MVP, but a kicker has. And I knew that anyway.
Yeah, I knew that.
Mark Mosley won in 82.
That was pre-Super Bowl.
No, that was 82. It was a strike.
Is that recent?
That was 1982 with Washington.
Wow, I didn't know it was that. I thought it was pre-Super Bowl, but I did know a kickers won the MVP. I didn't know that it was that recent.
That's insane. Only 2 defensive players have won it, Alan Page and Lawrence Taylor. I knew that too. Wow. Jim Brown won it the first 2 years.
I know the last time there was a co-MVP was Steve McNair and Peyton Manning. They won the co-MVP one year.
No, I don't see it.
With a wide receiver?
No, I don't see it. Says Peyton Manning, but it doesn't have like a duel. It doesn't show anything here.
Maybe there was 2 different MVP awards. Maybe there was an AP and something. I know that they shared the MVP one year, McNair and Peyton Manning.
I'm just looking at AP NFL Most Valuable Players, and I don't see.
Let me see. Steve McNair. MVP. McNair was selected to the Pro Bowl 3 times and was an All-Pro.
2003 he won. McNair won the MVP in 2003, but I don't.
It says co-MVP.
Oh, there it is. They're just listed. They're listed on different lines. That's all. They're not on the.
I remember because
2003. 2003.
Yeah, I remember I was rooting for him to win the MVP that year, McNair, because I was always a huge McNair fan. And they gave out a co-MVP. One of my favorite players of all time, Steve McNair. Love Steve McNair.
97, they did it too. Sanders and Favre. Sanders should have won it in 97 flat out. They do had a 2,000 rushing yards that year.
I actually just watched. You should watch that. They made a.
I did. The Barry Sanders documentary. I watched it.
That was.
I saw it popped up. Like I'm watching this.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
that's one of the greatest years of all time. The 2,000-yard season again, and then he retired a year later.
Yep, he didn't have the love for the game. Emmett Smith can thank Barry Sanders for having the all-time rushing lead, because if Sanders played another 5 years, Emmett Smith wouldn't have that. Emmett Smith had to play like an extra 8 or 9 seasons to get past Barry Sanders, and Sanders would have swallowed him up in 6, without question. Without question. Barry Sanders is the greatest running back I've ever. He's the best running back of all time, in my opinion. There was nobody that can do what he. Nobody can do what that guy did.
No, not even close. Terry said, I had a Giant shirt on today. I was pumping gas. Some dude yelled, "The Giants suck." I yelled back, "So do you, mofo." And I'm a 5-foot girl from the womb to tomb. There you go.
Yeah, don't mess with Giants fans. We have no problem telling you where to go.
Let's see. Tiki Baddog agrees with you. I don't, and I'm a huge Tiki fan.
Better than Emmett, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't agree with Baddog on that take. I understand the take though, because Emmett's supporting cast was insane. But
Emmett averaged half a yard less a carry in his career. Didn't have the receptions or the reception yards of Tiki.
Yeah.
Then Tiki had touchdowns taken away from him by Ron Dane and Brandon Jacobs.
Yeah.
And I would always get pissed off because I'm like, why are you taking your best player out in the goal line? I always get, especially when Ron Dane was there. Why are you taking him the hell out of the game? And I didn't like when they did with Barry Sanders. Like, what is the line? Like, why are you taking him out?
Yeah.
At this point,
it's like when I watch Saint games, I get frustrated. Why you take, like, when they used to have Drew Brees, and I understand like Taysom Hill, it works from time to time, but like I used to drive me nuts. You have like one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league in his prime, and you're taking Drew Brees out on the 10-yard line so you could run. I hated that.
Yeah, I get sick of that too. I'm like, put your best players in there. Yeah. Like I forgot who did that. Like what they did that in the Washington Oregon game. They took Penix out like on the 2-yard line and ran a wildcat, and they got stopped. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't get cute here.
Especially that position. It's such like a rhythm position. It's like when you take a quarterback out and he's in his rhythm, like I just hate that. Yeah. Nick says score predictions for this game this week. Like I said, I think it's gonna be close. I think it'll be. I'm gonna go 23-17 Packers, but I think it'll be a competitive game. I think it'll be a close competitive game. 23-17 Packers.
I got 24-20 Packers.
24-20 Packers. Okay.
24-20 Packers.
Yeah. So we're in the same ballpark. Let's see. Favorite underrated Giant. Yeah, we get asked this question a lot.
You know mine. Leonard Marshall. Always. The most underrated Giant ever. Leonard Marshall.
Yeah. That's a very popular answer from Giant fans in your age group. I didn't get to watch him. So for me, yeah, I mean, the first name that always comes to my head is Corey Webster. But there's a number of other guys that you could say. I always thought Manningham was slightly underrated because he made so many big plays for the Giants, and he's never talked about. People forget about him because there were so many of the great wide receivers on that team. I always thought he was a bit under. There's so many guys you could, but the first name that always comes to my head is Webster. Another guy that doesn't get mentioned enough because he was great for the Giants is Antrell Roll. I do think he might be a bit underrated at this point. He had a lot to do with those Super Bowl runs. Kawika Mitchell's a name I always throw out there. He was integral in that Super Bowl run. But I go Corey Webster, man. Corey Webster for me. Oh, you even said Manningham. There you go. I didn't even see the second part of what you said. Yeah. Let's see. Kevin Boss is a good one. Jason Seahorn. I don't think Seahorn was underrated though. I think he was one.
Yeah, he was a big deal. In his prime, he was a big deal. Yeah, before he got hurt. Seahorn was.
Let's see. Chase Blackburn. Well, Chase Blackburn made one of the biggest plays in Giants history.
Yeah, the interception in the Super Bowl covering Gronk.
Yeah, one of the biggest plays in Giants history. You just forget about it because
I think Antonio Pierce is underrated as a Giant.
Antonio Pierce is one of my all-time favorite Giants. Love it. I think
he was definitely. I think that Jesse Armstead is an underrated Giant.
He was great.
Jesse Armstead could play. That guy was a player.
Yeah, he was
really good. That's one of the more recent underrated Giants. I'll always say Leonard Marshall's most underrated Giant because he had 83.5 sacks in his career. And he was a 2-time All-Pro guy and big part of the Giants Super Bowls in 86-90. But he gets overlooked because there's 3 Hall of Fame linebackers on the team with him, including the greatest defensive player in the history of football. So you look at those teams and you think, wow, Carl Banks, Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor. And then you also had Pepper Johnson. And you just look at the linebackers and you kind of overlook the fact that Leonard Marshall was a beast. And I say, listen, the greatest game ever is that 90 championship game. And every time I watch it, I know it's coming. I've seen the play a million times.
Yeah.
And every time he hits him, I always just go, ooh, I do it every time. I know exactly what's going to happen, and I do it every time. It's the same reaction I had it the first time he hit him.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Mark Collins is another guy. Mark Collins is another underrated Giant. Nobody ever talks about Mark Collins. I loved Mark Collins. Absolute dog. One of the most confident corner, and he loved playing against Jerry Rice. Loved it.
I like this answer by Milkman. I wouldn't say he's the most underrated, but I do think Kerry Collins is underrated by a lot of Giants fans, and because he was a very good quarterback for the New York Giants. I wouldn't say he was great, but he was very good. So I like that answer. Kerry Collins was a very good player for the Giants.
He was.
Obviously, he didn't play well in the Super Bowl, but he was a good player for the Giants.
Played well in that NFC Championship game to get us to the Super Bowl.
He did great in that NFC Championship game. Brady,
and he played great in that game against the Niners until he blew it. The defense blew it, though, not him.
Yeah. Brady G says, "Salute, brothers. See you Monday with my Bacardi. Let's go, Brady, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, man." But I loved Kerry Collins. Kerry Collins and Sprewell it was very similar. They were guys that were kind of thrown out from their previous teams, and they both got that second chance right around the same time for both the Knicks and the Giants, and both of them worked out beautifully, and both of them lost in a championship, but very similar. I always compare those two just in terms of their story.
I will never forget the headline on the New York Post. It said it's no choke. The Knicks want Sprewell. I'll never forget because he choked PJ Carlissimo.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the reading that. It's no choke. The Knicks want Sprewell.
Yeah.
I love
Latrell Sprewell, one of my all-time favorites.
Those Knicks teams, totally different than the early 90s Knicks teams.
Yeah.
But just as much fun to watch. You had Allen Houston in his prime was a beast. Sprewell was awesome. Larry Johnson wasn't the same player then as he was with Charlotte because of the back injuries. Ewing was obviously aging. But I loved Marcus Camby. I loved Marcus Camby.
Yeah.
The Knicks had
Ward.
Yep, Charlie Ward, obviously. That was a joke in the late 90s. Was the best quarterback in New York, plays for the Knicks because he had won a Heisman. And the Giants had Dave Brown and Neil O'Donnell was a Jets quarterback, so that was always a joke. I did not like Chris Childs, although he was part of that.
Remember when Childs threw a punch at Kobe Bryant?
Yeah.
You remember that?
They ran away. Greg Anthony was early 90s. I hated him.
Oh, Greg Anthony, I couldn't stand.
Couldn't stand Greg Anthony.
Great college player, UNLV, but was not a great NBA.
Funny because Larry Johnson also went to UNLV, but Greg Anthony sucked. He had one of the ugliest shots I ever see, and he would talk shit to Jordan. I would always sit there and go, "Will you shut up? Stop talking to Jordan. Hey, buddy." Oh yeah, awesome.
Bad dog. My dog's still around, Denzio. She's just more mature now, so she doesn't bark like she used to.
I'll be up in a little bit, buddy. We can hang out. Okay.
And we're gonna close this out in like 2 minutes anyway. Bookend says, "I love that Eli." That's one of my all-time favorite.
Show me got a 96 on his test or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's a smart kid.
There you go.
He's very intelligent. Takes right after his dad.
There you go. Pat yourself on the back.
My wife will argue that point. My wife's brilliant. We know this. She married me. You can't be smarter than that.
Rich says, not sure if Lawrence Taylor's style of play would translate to today's NFL. Well, it wouldn't. He would have to adapt, but I'm sure he would be able to adapt, but he wouldn't be able to play the same fashion he did. He'd be ejected from every game. But
right. He'd be getting 15-yard penalties every time.
You can say that for pretty much every defensive player back then.
Oh.
It was just a different game.
Yeah.
That's like saying
LT was
like Rodman.
I have to laugh when younger people compare a play. You just don't understand.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you this, not as a listen, it's one thing coming from me, but you can ask Building 500. You can ask this guy Simus. They're my age, little older guys that hate the Giants, that watch that guy play, will tell you he was the greatest player ever. Yeah. This is not just a Giants. Anybody that grew up in that era and watched that era of football, going to tell you they've never seen anything like that guy. And they compare people. Oh, Micah Parsons. No. Oh, J.J. Watt. No. They're not Lawrence Taylor. Aaron Donald. Not even close. You don't understand. Lawrence Taylor changed the entire game. I'll tell you what. Go back and watch the Thanksgiving Day game from 1982 against the Lions. Single-handedly won the football game. Single-handedly won that game. You'll never see that again. No defensive player is going to win a game single-handedly.
Not many.
He was injured in the first half, didn't play in the first half. Giants were down 6-0, came in there, immediately caused an interception, made Billy Sims fumble the ball, had a sack, and then he had a pick six at the end of the game when the Lions were driving to win the game. Lawrence Taylor jumped around, took it 97 yards out of the house. You don't understand, unless you watched him play, what that guy was. Insane. That's why he's my favorite player ever. There's a reason when I first sat down and watched the first thing, my dad didn't say, watch Phil Simms.
Well, I have no doubt Lawrence Taylor in today's game would be the greatest player in the league. He would have to. I think what he meant was he wouldn't be able to play.
He couldn't hit people the way he did.
You can say that about any player in that era, and it's the same. Right. It's the same thing in the NBA. Like Dennis Rodman wouldn't be able to play the same way he played in the
absolutely. Well, yeah. I don't know. I think Draymond Green plays a lot like Dennis Rodman.
He does. You're right. Dennis Rodman would just have a lot more fines today.
Yeah. Without question. But the 90s Knicks, Chris, you couldn't do that. The Bad Boy Pistons, no.
Yeah.
No. You couldn't do what those two teams did.
Yeah.
But the Miami Heat, they did the same. You could not play like that.
They would adjust.
You have to.
Like Patrick Ewing would be just as good in today's game. He would just play more like Joel Embiid. He would be more of a stretch. He'd be a 3-point shooter.
That's the whole thing. It's hard to compare eras because they were playing football at that time, so they adapted to that era.
Yeah.
Whereas the players that are playing now grow up in the rules set for today's era, so they're already acclimated to what they got to do. So it's tough to take a guy from 40 years ago and throw him in today's game and go, "Oh, they're not as athletic, they're not as fast." Well, this is true, but if they had all the modern technology and all the stuff, they would be. There's a reason the guys get bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah.
Lawrence Taylor in today's game, he probably wouldn't have 20.5 sacks. He might have 5.5 sacks. But I mean, Lawrence Taylor's like 60 years old.
And we'll answer this real quick question for both Giants fans. Who do you want on your team, Dak or Hurts?
Neither.
I'm going to be honest. I think
I'd say Hurts because I'm an Oklahoma fan, and I just like Hurts better as a person. I've always rooted for Hurts until he went to the Eagles. So I would say Hurts.
On this team, I think I'd rather have Dak. I don't love either one personally. I think they're both good. I'm not trying to knock them. I don't think they're on the level of Pat Mahomes. I don't think they're elite, either one of them personally. But I think Hurts, I don't know. I don't know if Hurts would be as effective with a really bad offensive line.
I don't know if Dak would be either.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm just going by the guy that I like more as a guy. I mean, I hate the uniform.
I like Hurts more.
Yeah, that's the way I did it. That's the way I picked. I hate both of those uniforms with a passion. It always sucks. All the Sooners go to the Cowboys or Eagles every time. I can't root for Jalen Hurts. I couldn't root for DeMarco Murray when he went to freaking Dallas. I can't root for CeeDee Lamb. I love CeeDee Lamb. I hate that he's on the damn Cowboys. And if he wasn't on the Cowboys, he was going to be on the damn Eagles. Leave the Sooners alone. Seriously.
But the answer is I don't want either one of them. I
don't want either one of them. No, I shouldn't say that. I mean, if they're a Giant, I'd love them to death.
Well, but they won't. They'll never be Giants. So I don't.
No, they will never be Giants.
But guys, have a great rest of your night. Appreciate all you guys. We'll be live on Bad Dogs on Monday night, going up against the Green Bay Packers. We'll see how the Giants do. Hopefully, it's at least competitive. We'll see. I think it will be. But you guys have a great rest of your night. We'll see you guys on Monday. Be good, guys. Bad Dog, close it out.
Yeah, enjoy your weekend, everybody, and enjoy the football on Sunday. We play Monday night. We'll see if DeVito has better luck in prime time than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones never had a great record on prime time. Maybe prime time. Maybe DeVito shines on the bright lights, and
Great
maybe
with
he
that.
doesn't.
DeVito wins on
That'd
prime.
be awesome. I mean, I'm pulling for. I'm a Giants fan, man. I want them to win, so we'll see what happens. But enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the football, and we will see you Monday night. So for the Entertainment Talking Sports, Bad Diggy Dizzle. We out. Peace.